subject at all here, and you can
Okay, I will email
There
you.
are already proposed versions up on the website, so
Yeah.
I actually had not had a chance to.
All right, let me open the meeting. I probably should do that officially, and maybe not with a cookie in my mouth, but this is the Town of Nantucket Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Tuesday, May 28th. We're here to discuss or deliberate about the Surfside 40B, Surfside Crossing 40B. There you have it. I thought we were going to pretty much stick to the HCC today.
I thought that was the plan.
Want to start with the duplexes?
Sure.
I mean, they just happen to be the first ones I have.
That's fine. All right, Lisa, since this is your bread and butter, so to speak, why don't you lead the charge? If you don't mind.
No. I think the duplexes look fine. In terms of the elevations.
Your plans, because I didn't print them out. I have them on the, I didn't print them out.
What's the elevations?
Make sure you're talking in your microphones, because Terry will be taking minutes from audio.
Okay.
We are on air or no on air?
We should be on air.
I have to look at the plans too, so let's just see. So you,
The duplexes are all the duplexes the same? Yes.
Yes.
That's a little unfortunate.
that they're so repetitive.
Just that they're all together. It'd be better if they were interspersed. Do we have any concern about 4 identical buildings next to one another? Doesn't seem great.
It doesn't seem great.
No, it doesn't seem right.
How would we condition that? Simply,
So maybe maybe they could be maybe mirror imaged or different details, or do we want to get into talking about the massing? And how do you condition that?
well, yeah, I don't see how we can. I do think that for something like the rec building, they're going to have to come back to us as the HDC.
So could we say that conceptually the design is good? Well, how do you put this in a decision? But we would like there to be some variation between the massing and details of the 4 buildings, unless they get separated in the development. Because if they were interspersed,
Right.
you wouldn't care.
No, they were interspersed. It wouldn't make any difference whatsoever.
Right.
Do they have to be interspersed within the entire site, or do they sort of get left in that general area?
I just think so they're not right next to one another if they're going to be identical.
Yeah.
So we could just say something like that. If they're going to be identical,
If they're going to be right next to each other, they can't be identical.
yeah. And conversely, the design can be identical as long as they're interspersed.
And they could also, change the details a little bit, just in terms of the railings could vary. Again, they can change window types, which is one of the things we talked about on the houses.
And would that have to come back for like an insubstantial change or non-substantial? Or are we just giving them carte blanche to say these things are okay for you to use?
No, I think unfortunately, along with many other problems we've encountered, they're going to have to come back ultimately for approval.
When they practically, like, it just seemed like they'd have to come back for a lot of things. When they do have to come back, if this gets approved and through and all of that, would we be able to have like a special or side meeting or something so we can just do all these things, like a lot of them at once, instead, like procedurally, instead of having to have them come back every? Because I assume they'll probably address a lot of this, I would hope, at once.
Yeah, I mean, if they're
Right.
prepared to come back all at once, but we can't, I don't think we can dictate that they have
No, no,
to.
I was just thinking for like ease of, like if they're gonna change a bunch of the stuff, then be,
Yeah, it would be nice, but
Yeah.
by the same token, maybe coming back piecemeal isn't that bad either, so we don't have to spend hours and hours, but I think we gotta cross that bridge.
yeah,
Yeah.
later.
The other thing that I find a little odd is well, I guess it's not odd. The front elevation has one door on it, which actually makes some sense.
Right.
Whereas the rear elevation has porch all the way across and two doors.
Separate doors, right? But they're two separate porches, they're not,
Yeah, it
Connected.
just reads that way, yeah.
yeah,
You mean right here, there's this
Yeah.
wall between.
yeah, and they're stepped back, so the roof's not the same.
Lisa, to what extent does the HCC require you to get into detailing? Like, can we say 5/4 by 6 corner boards? And
Yeah, I mean, you fill out this piece of paper that asks for rake sizes and foundation height exposed, masonry chimney, brick type, block parge,
Here, I have one of those too, Ed,
roof
if you wanna look at it.
pitches.
So should we just go through that
Yeah.
on this building?
Here, this is,
Oh, and just fill it out as if we were making the application.
Oh, thanks. Eleanor gave us a copy last time.
Right,
she did.
so it'd be an 8-inch parged foundation, I assume.
Do you want me to just fill this out?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Although we're gonna have to do it for every,
Oh,
I have another one here somewhere.
right.
But go ahead. Here's one.
mason, there's no chimney, so that's and a roof pitch. They're not specified.
Yeah, that should be specified. And
And then they had roof material. I think they had suggested that all the buildings were going to be wood other than the 8-family. Those were going to be asphalt, but since we have disallowed those. I don't remember what they said about the 4-plexes.
I don't think they did.
They'd probably all
I
be
don't
wood.
remember what they said.
Let's just
about
make it,
duplexes. I do know they said the single families were gonna be wood for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I would assume the duplexes would be wood.
again, I
Just
would
make them
think
all
to
wood?
get the integration, you'd want them the same.
Right. So wood, red cedar. There aren't any skylights. That appears to be an A.
Lisa, could you speak up a little?
Oh, sorry, no skylights. Gutter material?
I think the new fiberglass gutters are fine.
Okay. And you want,
Having
What-
said that, it could be fiberglass or wood.
Right.
I don't really care, do you?
and then what about the leaders? Boxed out or
What are
copper,
leaders?
the
The
downspouts?
thing.
I don't think they have to be boxed out.
No, I don't think so
You think they
either.
can just be PVC?
No, I would say galvanized pipe
galvanized.
or copper.
Painted galvanized pipes? Or left is just,
I think it's okay. Left that. The problem with painting them is they flake.
Yeah.
right.
And I don't even care if you use the galvanized primer.
And you wouldn't want boxed out?
So expensive.
It's pretty,
I mean, that's an
Boxed out.
option for them if
as an
can box
option,
them.
or they can box them, sure. I don't, as again, it would have been nice to have, we could have gone through each one of these and said some box, some,
Right.
just to have some variety. But anyway,
Sidewall is white cedar shingles, no clapboard. Trim is wood. I mean, they ask you to say pine, redwood, cedar, other. Are we going to get into that specifics?
Do we care, or could
Well-
it be interspersed?
If it's gonna be painted,
I really don't care.
I don't care.
Are
It's
you
gonna
on
look
trim?
the same.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're on trim. I mean, cedar is a better material, but I can't.
That's up to them.
That's up to them.
Just, I don't care if it's wood.
So
It
it's,
could be AZAC.
well, the HGC doesn't,
We can't do AZAC at all?
no.
I know, but this is my opportunity.
What is AZAC?
It's a plastic.
AZAC, we used it on our
Oh,
house.
so you
It's
do what?
great. It's so great.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's your opportunity to do what?
Push back.
I'm with
HTC.
Ed. If they can use AZAC, why don't we let them?
Well, the
It's
HTC
very
doesn't allow it
expensive,
now.
so
But why?
you cannot tell the difference.
You
Try to
Yeah,
buy
and there's
it.
no, the HTC, there's no, it's building with Nantucket
I
in
just
mind.
know
There's
that
no
they're
regulations.
having a lot of discussions from
Yeah.
hearing from my husband about whether or not it should be able to be used.
Why? I'm curious. Why do you think it shouldn't? Why?
I don't
I know,
have a-
not
a-
you. What do you
yeah.
think the argument is for not using AZAC?
The argument is that it's not real, but the argument again for using it is that by the time it's painted, nobody can tell the difference.
Yeah.
And really, that's all their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So that's the debate, and they haven't finished the discussion. I think it even last 2 week meetings ago, they were discussing it still.
I say we allow it
Could you tell me is AZAC
because I want to use it on the next.
AZAK.
That AZAC.
I'm not gonna. I don't think we should specify.
AZEK, I think.
Yes,
Oh,
AZEK.
And that's a brand name. That's a brand name. So we're not talking
why
about.
don't we just not
brands.
say that they can use anything? I don't know. Why are you going to make a stance on this? That's going to be counter to what the HGC. Oh, because you want to.
Because we're the HTC.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying they have to use AZEC, and as I said, it's very expensive. So the
But then you don't have to paint over and over again.
yes, you do. You have to paint it.
Why?
Not over. It doesn't. It holds paint better though.
Well, because paint is a maintenance item. You have
Yeah.
to paint it.
You do have to paint.
It's not lifetime.
Okay.
No, but it maybe doesn't.
Do people
Like-
paint it from the get-go?
Yeah.
You have to. You're supposed to protect the, where you make penetration in it.
It does move a lot. I've heard that.
Yeah, it moves.
In the length, it moves a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not great for long boards, for long pieces of trim, because you end up
People
with.
do off island, they fasten it with small stainless steel type of fasteners, and then they don't.
They don't paint
Yeah,
it.
we had it on our house in Wellesley and it was awesome.
Did you paint it?
I don't think we did.
Also, for what it's worth, like in Newton, in like the historic districts in Chestnut Hill, you can't use plastic wood.
All right. I guess
But this is, well, again,
why don't we?
Just saying.
Do we want to stick with the HTC and say no plastic?
well, they haven't decided yet. What if they decide to say yes and we said no?
All right. Well, then we have to take it. just-
Why don't we
care if they
just
use
not
plastic
make
or
a
painted wood or-
decision about it?
Okay.
If they start allowing it, they start allowing it, then this trim.
Right.
Well, we have to make a decision.
Well, it's,
They're either so they'd be using wood. And
We could- we could
and
just say other.
remaining silent on the other.
yeah, exactly.
Fine.
Wood,
Wood.
painted. We want all of these houses painted, right? In some
Absolutely.
fashion. Fascia,
So wood painted,
yes.
trim is wood.
Or painted wood.
Dimensions, the fascia, I don't know, the rake is usually a 1x8.
Yeah, I would say a rake 1x8. The fascia as a result is probably 1x10, don't you think? Or 1x8? It depends on the
I
rafter
don't know, it
cut.
depends on the detail,
Which we don't have.
which we don't have. And do these have they look like they have the rake overhang, but I don't know if there's a soffit around the entire building. I can't imagine they're
I
gonna.
just think, we, in some regard, we want to say that these details stand, the details that we have, which are very minimal, but there is a rake overhang. That's
Okay,
how I
so why don't
read
we
it.
just say match drawing?
Yeah, which includes a rake overhang.
Mm-hmm.
Say fascia soffit or a soffit, whatever you want to call it.
You guys like the brackets? You're okay with the little brackets on the decks?
Well, they're sort of more Victorian for this,
I'd say no to the little brackets.
What's a bracket?
this little thing here.
Oh yeah, no, I don't like those. I don't.
But again, I mean, I wouldn't mind them if there were 4 different models that we were looking at.
Right, I think because of the window type on this, the brackets kind of work because they're
do?
2/1.
All right.
But if the windows were 6/1 or 6/6s, they wouldn't use these brackets. So I think if we're just addressing this particular one,
It's okay.
I mean, I think they're okay. I don't know why you would I don't think they're necessary. So if I were doing this and I wanted to save a few bucks, I probably wouldn't put the brackets on. So we could say no brackets.
No, leave the brackets.
They're an added detail you don't
Yeah.
need.
Match drawing for details. You think there's I don't think there's a soffit. I think the rake just runs past. It would be a underside here
Well,
and just holds the gutter.
okay. It's hard to tell.
It is hard to tell. I mean, are you,
Yeah, but
actually, you know what? Now that I say that,
I mean, these don't show gutters, obviously.
right. Should we just say they need to provide updated details integrating the gutters on all
Yeah.
roof planes?
Yeah, because we don't want to design it for them.
And that way, then we have a detail.
Could you repeat what you just said? I'm sorry.
That they need to provide updated exterior details showing the gutters on all roof elevations, which is something that we're requiring for drainage. Because that'll change a lot of these details. Yeah, because you'd have to have, the gutter would have to wrap these little porches. And-
Well, yeah, the porch detail is weird anyway. It's not showing any sort of rake.
I know,
I mean, which I think, basically it's just a mistake.
right,
I'm sure they didn't intend to have no rake.
right. And the HGC doesn't really get that into those details. You don't submit exterior details
I know
for
that.
their drawings.
But having said that, this may be more appropriate for the houses where you just want some variety. I think.
Yeah, no, and I'm saying beyond the variety, I think because we've requested gutters on every single roof plane, that the drawings should reflect a gutter,
Yeah.
which this building doesn't.
And by the way, I don't think that's exactly what happened, that we requested gutters. I think the applicant, it's part of their subsurface
Drainage.
drainage
for every-
system is
yeah.
to take care of the roof water through gutters, so they have to show them on the plan.
Right,
We didn't request that it was not a condition that, I mean, it may
is-
ultimately be
it
a
is a
condition,
condition.
but it's part of,
okay, I misspoke.
I think
It
we
is a
would have
condition.
required gutters on all the buildings,
why?
because it's the best management practice to put put that roof water into a system.
Yeah, but
Otherwise, the roof water comes off the roof and hits the ground, and
if there are only 10 houses, we might not have.
if there are only 10 houses, you might not.
Right, if you weren't talking about drainage. So I think it was just part of their plan. They needed it. But anyway. I
Well,
mean,
anyway,
that's-
so
that's-
we can just say, since it is a condition that they have gutters on every single building, that they should be showing them appropriately on all the architecture.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Including rec building.
Yes. And the barn, right? The
I don't know if the barn lot specifically showed us, but it should. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know that it, anyway.
The maintenance barn lot doesn't show a subsurface.
that doesn't. But wouldn't you want it to, or?
Sure. I would
Yeah.
think you would, yeah.
So that should just be part,
That's sort of a general, probably gonna be a general topic or comment on all the buildings, because none of them are gonna show gutters, I bet.
yeah, I agree.
Window casings,
5/4 by 4 with a cap detail, unless it's under a sub fascia.
well, they're sort of showing
Doesn't
them
look
almost
like
like
they
their
show a
plank
cap.
frame.
You,
Yeah.
you
Well, they
think
have a
what?
line. They have a line across. I don't think they're. Again, it's hard to see what they're trying to. I don't think you have to require a cap, decorative cap, though.
Okay.
I mean, does anybody feel strong? What
I
do you-
don't think you need a cap on this.
Right. Looks like the door frame is the same, 5/4 by 4.
Yeah, I don't think though that's a plank detail, because if you look at the the ganged windows,
That's just the drawing,
it's just the computer spitting out a little window.
yeah. Do you feel strongly about having a cap?
I feel strongly that some, again, the mixture should be such that there are some with caps, you know, and some without. And
But so how do we write that into decisions, since we don't have an application for every single lot?
well, there are only 4 of these buildings, so we don't have to. I don't know. I think it looks better. But it's not
Yeah,
critical
I
to
don't,
me.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I would put them on, but I just, you know, it's, again, I sort of feel like that's getting into, and I know we can do that because we are the HGC, but information that we're not that specific at the HGC level either, or if we ended up adding
If
caps
someone
later.
would go to the HDC with a, you know, with a basic house plan, they wouldn't require window
No.
caps, would they?
Nope. And sometimes we go with them without, and then we add them, and.
But do you
know.
get permission?
No, and they still get approved, yeah, they get approved at the end. There's just not that much detail at a 1/4 inch scale that they could really,
They should change that policy, in my opinion. You should have to go in there with trim details. I mean, because
hey.
this is a little bit of a throwback. No. Not unless they're convening in another state. Okay. No one else cares?
Oh,
No
should-
window caps,
No window all right.
not required.
They're not required, but they can do them. I mean, again, we don't have enough
Right.
information to make a decision. The posts have to be square. And 8x8s, don't you think? Versus 6x6.
I've been shot down on everything else, so I'm not talking. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. They look like 6x6s as drawn.
I know. Well, maybe on this building it's okay as a 6x6 because the porches aren't that deep. And they're probably
Isn't that sort of the scale thing, Lisa? I mean, if it's
Yeah.
a big massive porch, you need a minimum of an 8x8
It
post.
yeah, it looks like 6x6 is fine.
Yeah.
And is a 6x6 post a 4x4 wrapped?
Either way, that I don't think we need.
No, I'm just saying, is that what you mean by an 8x8? Or, I'm sorry, is that what you mean by 6x6?
Yeah, it could be. Or a solid 6x6.
Okay. Windows, double hung. And you know, the casement thing is, John McLaughlin hates operable casement windows.
I don't think we have to ape the HGC, if you will. Mimic them. I mean, if we think casements are okay. There are no casements
There
on
are-
this building.
These are gonna be inoperable anyway, but.
Hey, you mean the ones up in the gable?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fixed, I would think.
And they'll want them SDLs.
Yeah, SDL. I mean, and we don't, do we have a strong feeling about the whole clad versus, I don't.
No.
What's an SDL?
Simulated divided light, so it's 2 layers of glass with a spacer bar.
Versus, what is it?
Single glazed.
But this.
True divided
divided
light. Yeah.
Right.
Where did they put the material for the windows?
I don't think they have it.
Okay. But we'll say clad, okay.
Clad?
Yeah,
Clad or wood?
clad or wood.
Sure, they'll use clad.
They'll use Andersons, I would think, probably. So there's door types. I'm sure there'll be STL. Does anybody have an issue with the 4 light door as the entry door?
Did you say SDL or true divided light?
STL.
Okay.
Where does it show?
I don't have any problem
have
with
any
the
problem with
4-light
it.
door.
Oh, no, I don't have any problem with
Okay.
that.
So SDL for door types?
They're kind
Yep.
of I mean,
Yeah, they're caught, I mean, on a,
Yeah.
like a bigger, I know, thinking about what the HGC might say, some people might have an issue, but I think it works on this building. Garage doors not applicable, hardscape materials are covered elsewhere. And then so in terms of how do we do colors?
I think you should have to, one should have to comply with the accepted colors, and then,
Right. So the shingles are obviously natural, the trim, choose HGC approved colors for trim. Window sash, that gets a little tricky though. I mean, I don't think you want somebody to come in with like a cobblestone trim with green sash. There are some color combinations that don't look good.
to you. I might like them. I mean, I think if you
Whatever, they're allowed colors, so.
if you have your color menu, you should be able to choose from it. Does the HDC get into that level of detail?
Usually, yeah.
So they don't look at trim details, but they look at the color?
They definitely look at the color. And, and there's a lot, there was only discussion on an application last week where they wanted the doors to be Essex green, and we realized that probably wouldn't look good with Nantucket gray. So there was a discussion about that, and we changed the trim to Quaker gray.
Who decided it wasn't gonna look good? The HTC or you did before you went
HTC.
in?
No. I was hoping not to have the doors be Essex green. I wanted the whole building to be painted different, all of it to be painted Nantucket. And so once they introduced the doors being green, then we changed the trim color, and we got into a discussion about what would be the appropriate approved color that would look good. So they definitely look at it.
Well, I don't know that, I certainly don't want, if this goes forward, what we don't want is each building coming back to us for color choices and whatnot. So,
Well, what we could do is restrict the colors you can choose for the sash. You could say white,
okay,
Quaker, Nantucket, and black, maybe.
no green?
I guess you could do green.
What other colors are there? The red.
Cottage red.
I mean,
So just
there are
say-
gonna be, a fair number of houses there if it's approved. So I think
Some people
variety
do
is
the
the
red on
spice
their
of life.
trim, don't they? Like
Yeah.
over by the mill,
Yeah,
if they have
On
that
their
true.
sash.
Huh?
On the sash, yeah.
On the sash, yeah.
I actually have it on, do I have it in my house? I can't remember now.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot if we. I mean, I think if they're approved colors, they're approved
Okay.
colors, right?
I mean, cottage red is not is that an approved trim color?
Yeah. Yeah, there are
I
very
mean,
few buildings
the,
that-
the other mitigator here is the developer ultimately, again, if this thing is approved, wants to sell these things. So if it's cottage red with, green, I don't even know what a bad color combination is, but, I think
Cottage red trim and green windows would be a bad color combination.
that would be bad.
I don't see
Christmas?
Them. Yeah, I don't see them. I don't think we need to worry so
I
much
don't think
about
we need
that.
to.
Okay,
I
so
think
you're
it-
just gonna say approved colors.
Yeah. I mean,
So
they're not
without
going to make it
saying
look
which
crazy.
ones, just approve.
Yeah.
And hopefully they exhibit good taste.
Well, they don't
This
have
is for
much. There's
sash,
only
right?
some. There's only
Sash and trim.
Sash, trim, and doors.
Yeah, and certain colors are only approved on certain pieces of, like you said, cottage red is not approved as a trim color. It's approved for windows.
Yeah,
And
but
it
there is a
says that
chart
way.
that
There is a
says
chart.
that, right?
Yeah.
I think on the HGC website there probably is.
So why don't we just reference the chart?
Yeah.
That works for me.
Okay, so the biggest thing with the duplexes is encouraging them to make them look a little different if they are going to be side by side.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable condition, to not have the four identical buildings next to one another.
And I think didn't we discuss that at some point and a while
I don't think
ago?
so, because I
Maybe it
sort
was
of-
with the single families and we said like mix it up with
Yeah.
the windows and when we
Yes.
first looked at the first set of drawings.
Definitely, that's true. We talked about
I feel like we did, and what was his name? Is it Chris?
Dalmas, yeah.
Yeah, I think he got that and understood that.
And did we talk about adding basement access to these or no? in the exterior?
No, they don't have it.
Okay.
It does, I mean, let's take it one step further. They don't show it, so they can't do it.
If they wanted, they could come back.
Yeah, well, they can come back for anything if they don't agree with something. And it has to maintain this height, 27 feet. And that's from, using the accepted height calculations.
It's 27 feet from finished grade.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, finished grade, and I don't think they're intending to do this, but can't be built up 4 feet.
Right.
I think we have to specify that
I think it's from
because-
existing grade.
Well, I think, don't we have to?
They're not showing any grade change.
But remember, we had this issue with existing grade where the guy came in and added, and then they said, well, I can't remember who it was.
That was in
Cohen and Feely or someone? Not Feely.
It was down where
Hanley.
the old tennis courts were or something?
Yeah.
Connecticut or wherever.
Remember, they filled in a bunch, and then there was a big
Yeah.
discussion about what existing
But-
grade actually is. I think we should say what grade exists today.
What do
or
you
as
want to
of-
say, Eleanor?
Just that was Goose Cove, that was where they were going
Right.
to build tennis courts, and we looked at our aerials and
I
geodetic stuff.
I just don't think it's true that they're not doing any fill. I don't think they're mounding anything, but I think Don Bracken sat up here and said that there's some grade change and they would be, they're going to have to flatten it out in certain areas. It's not going to be mounded.
No, I agree, and we touched on this, I believe, and I don't know if it was at one of our determination discussions or deliberations, or during the hearing, but there are topos, and let's say there was a 4-foot slope differential from the top to the bottom. I don't think there is.
I don't think there is,
But they can't
I
can't
understand
go
that.
add the 4 feet on one side
No,
and create a
I'm
flat.
totally in agreement with you. I'm just saying that if you say 27 feet from the finished grade, these sites might be someplace that have to be filled a foot.
So why don't we say
Well, don't you think that sorry,
Or from
Susan.
existing grade, excuse me, is what you were saying.
Yeah, that information, you would have to supply that information at your HCC application,
Yes.
is what I'm getting at.
So, right. So you're
these
saying
are
your
represented as a
assumption
flat
is that
site.
they're flat sites and that there is no grade change.
So I think if we don't want them to change the grade or mound or fill or whatever you're saying, then whatever the terminology is, then we need to say something that says that this is 27, this is the height they're gonna get from the site as it sits as of the date of the application
Because
or
they
something.
haven't provided us with any
Right.
accurate topography.
Right,
I
so
thought one of the Bracken plans had
we didn't have,
spot elevations
One
on
of
them.
them did.
But it wasn't a
the
topo
current
map.
set that we're looking at now doesn't show any elevations at all.
Okay.
and remember when they gave us something and we said it wasn't a topographical map, it was just it was like a printout from the GIS site or something?
No, they had some existing contours and then he had spot elevations on every lot on a
Oh, really?
map at one point.
I don't remember
But
that.
Doesn't the drainage plan, such as it is, have any topo on it?
I just remember whatever they gave us saying that it wasn't adequate, but I don't remember what it was.
This 5-sheet plan? No,
Yeah, I'm looking at it, doesn't it?
nothing.
I mean, that isn't,
so just say from existing grade.
right.
That just restricts them more.
It's 27 feet from existing grade, and if it turns out that you cannot meet the,
They'll
well,
have
But
to
I
come
think we
back.
have to put a date certain on existing, because that was the issue we had with this Goose, whatever pond or whatever that property was, that the definition of existing, and we had Marcus in here too, remember? And it
Yep.
was the definition of existing. They said that existing was what it was after they filled,
yeah, that's not existing.
and it was the date of the building permit or something like that. So I think I would like to avoid
Well,
that
can we make
problem.
a condition that they have to give us an existing conditions topo plan?
Yes. Good one.
Yeah.
But existing as of what date?
As of today, they haven't been able to do anything out there, right?
No, they can't do anything until all of this is,
They can't clear or anything, right?
No.
They-
So that means that they would be tied to what the ground looks like
Today, unless they came back and said, we need to fill 2 feet in this area
Right.
because of blah, blah, blah.
yeah, there's nothing to say that they can't do that. I'm not
Yeah, no,
saying
I
you
know, I
cannot
just-
fill one little
Yeah.
inch of
Yeah,
this
yeah.
property, but it has to be made clear to us, if for no other reason, to protect the neighborhood.
Right.
So this thing isn't shedding all its water elsewhere.
No, I
Totally,
agree with that.
100%.
So, I
So
mean,
we'll make the condition that all the heights on these structures are from existing grade, and that they will need to provide a topographic plan of the existing conditions.
and a height calculation that stipulates that that it's 27 feet from existing grade. And if they've filled 2 feet,
Right,
they either have to change the building
lower the plate heights.
or come back.
Okay.
Okay, and then we talked about, I mean, they could flip this, the back could be the front. It's not, you would enter from in the front. I don't think it would be horrible into your living room, and then your rear entrance would be your mudroom entrance. So you could do that, I think.
You mean just flip the buildings like this?
Right. Because either one looks like,
It could be the front of a building.
could be
And then
the
you could
front.
pancake the other ones.
Pancake them, what does that mean?
Flip them the other way. So rather than flipping them this way, you flip them that way, side to side. So the front door is on the right on one
I got
Be a
you.
mirror image.
Thank you.
Pancake?
That's how I flip my
I was-
pancakes.
I was
isn't it?
thinking, I was envisioning stackable pancakes.
Yeah, I couldn't make that connection. Yeah, I don't know how we craft that condition,
I
but
think it's better just to leave it to them to come up with a plan.
Yeah.
To say that they can't be identical if they're next to each other, and they can come up with an idea as how to give some variation.
okay.
Bless you.
Okay.
Okay, so that one's done.
Do you want this one for the next?
Oh, you don't want them.
One paperclip?
I'll just fold them like this.
Rec building we're not talking about. Right?
Right.
Other than to say, well, let's go to the rec building because it's the next thing in my packet.
Got 3 mine away.
Well, we don't have to talk about the specific design. It would simply be, the condition would be such that it has to, well, I guess it doesn't matter because they would ultimately have to come back here with us acting as the HCC.
Yeah, we specified size at this
Right.
point, but
I was
we
gonna
should
say-
make a condition that they obviously have to come back to
Yeah.
show us the design of the building.
Very similar to where they have to come back showing the management practices for the construction site, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot that has to be approved, if you will.
Right.
Okay, what about this, the next thing in my packet was the sheds.
Yep.
I wanted to point something out to you that I didn't in the email, if I may. A small discrepancy. On the plan, I think it's the landscaping plan that says the 6x8 sheds will be on lots under 5,000 square feet, and the 8x10 sheds will be on lots greater than 5,000 square feet. But in fact, I went through each lot and looked with a microscope on what sheds, and that doesn't stand. So they just need to take that notation off the plan.
Well, or we just keep that.
You'll see in the chart that I sent you that some of the affordable lots have larger sheds.
Well, that's good. Oh, it's on this one, okay. I mean, I don't really have it. The only note that I would make is that the trim color should match the house.
Yeah, Eleanor, back to what you said. You said that the applicant has said that every lot over 5,000 square feet.
Sheet
Yeah, it's actually on the
A
shed sheet. If you look at the-
1.0, it says.
No, I'm saying every lot that's listed here is over 5,000 square feet. So they would all be, have
No,
to,
I misspoke, I'm sorry. 8 by 10 sheds are for lots greater than 5,500 square feet.
oh,
6 by, I had trouble seeing the tiny. 6 by 8 sheds are for lots less than 5,500 square feet.
And that's written right on sheet A1.
okay.
I don't think that's the case across the board. I think there's a little more.
But yeah, here on lot 37, for instance, it's 5238 is the lot area as it is now. And it's an 80 square foot, it's an 8 by 10 shed.
Is it just sometimes based on the layout of the lot and it could take a larger shed? Do we?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
don't
don't
really care,
really care.
but lot
The only
41,
thing I care is that all the small sheds aren't specifically on the affordable units.
That's
And
what
if
I
it's
agree.
interspersed, it doesn't really matter to me whether it's 8 by 10 or 6 by 8, as long as seems like it's interspersed fairly and whatever matches with the lot size.
Right. So,
Or the
well, but
lot.
Susan, you could make the argument, then you would have to really dive deep in that every affordable lot are there any affordable lots that are over 5,500? And the answer is no. So,
So is that a problem for them right there, if none of, or does lot size?
yeah, lot size matters.
and bedroom count matters, right?
I mean, for instance, 23 is, there's a number of there's a 7,000, there's a lot of, all the affordable lots, the biggest one, well, no, here's one, 5,500. Lot 27. Well, most of them are smaller than 50, all of them except that
They
are,
have to change this anyway, don't they, from the perspective that
Yeah.
they need more affordable 5 bedrooms, right?
well, we can get back to the whole 5-bedroom thing at some point. I mean, the easy thing would be to just say, everybody gets an 8 by 10 shed and be done with it, but I don't know why you really want to, I can't imagine that this would make it uneconomic, that extra 32 square feet or whatever it is.
Couldn't we just say every lot has to at least have a 6 by 8 shed and a proportionate number of the 8 by 10 have to be on affordable? Right?
There are 5 right now that show 80 square foot.
Yeah, I mean, we can say anything we want, all I'm saying is, you know, some of it would be to simplify things and,
And there's only 80 square foot sheds in total.
Oh.
there's only what?
5 80 square foot sheds in total. Oh, no, that's not right.
That's not right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, my God. Not even close. 11, 12, 13, 14, and 1.
Or we say they all have to be 6 by 8 sheds. Just let's not get into who gets what. And
Yeah.
it just seems to be unnecessary.
It's like it's an additional
Just-
layer of scrutiny. That,
Yeah, and that, you know, Eleanor had to come up with this whole matrix
I
to
know.
figure that out. And so what do we think? 6 by 8 or 8 by 10? It makes no difference to me, but I think it just all should be the same.
8 by 10.
Yeah, I mean, 6 by 8.
8 by 10, 6 by 8
so
is cheesy
small.
looking, it's tiny. It looks
They
like
look
a,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
like a
Looks like an outhouse.
glorified doghouse.
Well, not only that, but you can't fit anything in it, but
Yeah.
8 by 10, done.
8
All
by
sheds
10.
have to be 8 by 10. And then architecturally,
They're not being guttered, right?
I don't think those are required, no, but they show right on their plans, red cedar roof shingle,
Yep.
because they go with the single-family homes. cedar trim painted.
To match house.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, ideally to match the house.
Have to match the house. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Wood frame deck, I mean, it's fine, but it's
That's
the,
fine, yeah. Do the roof pitches need to match the house? Or are you just gonna keep them all at 10 by 12?
I-
I don't care.
I don't care.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay.
And the only lots getting sheds are single family?
I think that's
That's all
we
that's
said last
shown.
time.
Okay.
That's all that's shown. So the fourplexes?
What about the maintenance barn?
Oh, that's next. Oh, sorry, mine are all out of order. I think this really looks tall, but maybe it's just my imagination. I mean, it only
does
says
look
it's
narrow.
26 feet 2 and 5/8, but it just looks tall. I wouldn't think.
Well, it is tall, it's as tall as a duplex.
And
other
I don't
than-
think you'd want to paint the batten and the board and batten. I just think of barns that have board and batten as being natural.
Okay,
I don't know. I mean, we did one, next to on at Anderson's, and it's natural. Looks great.
Where is that?
It's just here.
all right, well, let's just think about, let's take your concerns one at a time. So the height, if you have a 10-foot or a 9-foot ceiling to the loft,
Right. So 10-foot floor to floor.
and another 6 feet of, or even 5 feet of wall space, you're at 14 plus, and then a 10 by 12, you'd have to do the math on that. How big is this building?
20 feet. So 10 inches, 100 inches divided by 12 is 8 feet. Did I do that right?
Roughly 100 inches, right?
Yeah.
So 14,
it's
22. Call it 23 feet. Call it 24 feet.
Yeah, it'd be 8 feet of roof, a 7-foot plate from the floor. That's 15 feet plus 10. It's 25. So it's not that.
It doesn't have to have a 7-foot plate on the second floor,
It
though.
doesn't, but it has full windows up there.
I know that, but I'm saying, let's make, it doesn't need to be that big.
Okay.
Isn't that your concern?
Well, it visually looks tall, I agree.
I don't see why it needs to be that big. It's a maintenance shed.
Right, and it's just a loft
I assume the loft is only for
storage.
storage.
So should we do a 10, you probably definitely want a 9-foot ceiling on the first floor, just for taller things. So 10 foot from the floor to floor, a 5-foot plate,
Yeah, I think it's fine.
15 plus 8, 23.
23 feet. So plus 8 inches of exposed,
Yeah,
call it 24 feet. No greater than 24 feet tall.
What about the windows on the rear?
Does it bother you?
I just feel like it's a lot of wall and like these two teeny windows, like maybe there should be like 2 windows like they have on the, I guess it's the rear, I don't know what it's facing. Maybe it doesn't matter. I'm fine, if nobody else has a problem with it, it just looks.
I don't have a problem,
I don't
again.
think I have a problem. with
Okay.
it.
It's the rear.
It is a maintenance building, and they're probably looking for places to hang stuff. And
Yeah, true.
Too many windows in a garage
Yep.
type of space is a pain.
Okay, good point.
Okay, so board and batten sided, unpainted, siding,
I mean, what do you guys think?
I don't really like board and batten, but
I mean, I could see it, I know that it shows up on some of the other architecture for houses, I could see not proving that. It seems like on a barn, it seems appropriate, but I don't think you see many that are painted.
No.
You'd see some that are painted.
Yeah.
On Nantucket?
No, not necessarily on Nantucket. See a lot of white and red ones
Yeah,
in
Vermont,
Vermont.
yeah.
I don't have a strong feeling about it. Yeah, so if you do, Lisa, that's fine. I don't love the natural thing. I would think they'd want it natural, quite frankly, so they don't have to paint it every 5 years.
Wasn't this barn called Cavalier Stable on the beginning of Matticat Road? Isn't that natural? It had like red windows in it. I don't know. It's still there. They're building a house next to it now. That doesn't look bad. I mean, it's a barn.
Right.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I don't like natural trimmed houses, but I feel like with a barn, it seems odd to paint it. That's a lot of white with no windows, or a lot of
okay.
whatever color it is. I think,
Natural?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're keeping the windows, right?
Well, the windows, the fenestration has to change to some degree on the,
On the second floor.
at least on the sides. Because those windows won't fit.
I think the window type is a little odd for a barn too, but that's,
What would be normal?
well, I don't know. I don't know what's normal, but six,
What?
like more divided. They just seem, you often saw 6 light sash in horse barns. But I don't really care.
That's fine, Lisa. We're relying on you.
Oh, good. Great.
6/6 on the barn sash?
6 over,
I mean, the window shape will change because which is fine.
because these are gonna get much shorter. I don't know, I don't know.
I don't love the windows either, so if there's a few.
All right, 6/6. Yeah, because isn't it 2/2 more of a?
2 over 1 is more of
I mean, a
like
2/1 is
like a-
Victorian.
Victorian.
Yeah,
This doesn't look like a Victorian barn.
No,
so 6/6.
yeah. More barn. Or they could use barn sash up on the second floor, just a 6 light barn sash. You know, now that we cut the wall.
Well, that might happen, yeah, because if you cut the wall height down 3 feet, I actually think 23 feet is adequate. If it's just a loft upstairs, you don't have to stand at the outer eave.
Right,
So you want to say no?
You just
grading
want to
roof?
store
23
long
feet.
stuff up there.
right.
So we're changing
23 feet overall height, again, from existing grade.
Red cedar roof again, right? Yep. Okay.
Yep. So
what are we-
what do we decided on, painted, no painted?
I'm gonna say no
No
painted.
painted. The trim and the siding, right?
Yeah. And then,
Do they need to gutter this one?
that was my
I don't
question.
think it's, I mean, why wouldn't you need to? It's like a small house.
Yeah, I think you would need to. It's
Got
bigger
a lot of
than
roof.
Don't you think?
guttering.
Guttering and taking care of the water?
I think you should gutter it.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be typical, same as other buildings.
So, Lisa, in terms of the unpainted siding, does this have corner boards on it that are painted?
No,
Well, the gutter would be painted.
no. I don't know. I'd have to look at the picture of the barn that I did. I have no idea. We might not even have corner boards on that.
Well, I'm thinking more about the paint. I suppose you could use a fir gutter and a natural gutter as well.
Or copper gutter.
I just want, you can use all sorts of things. We just need to make a
I
choice.
know. Do we have to make that today?
Yeah.
Can I look?
Oh, okay, then it's on you to
something.
get back to us on that.
Yes. I will, I'll take a look at
Thank
this
you.
barn that we did, that I think, well, I'll bring a picture of it. You guys might not think it looks good.
regarding quarter boards or?
Yeah, and trim on the barn.
Do you have that HDC form, Ed?
Yeah.
Lisa's gonna need another one. It was on your laptop. I should have asked you for it.
No, I had an extra one. That HDC form. Okay, so
Okay.
we good with the barn?
Yeah.
Do we wanna do
Is that for fourplexes or are we on
Sure.
the houses?
fourplexes
Back
on
to
the
the
front,
fourplexes.
we can come back to this.
Are we moving on to houses, are we?
Fourplex.
Or, oh, okay.
Now, again, I think that there's only, well, no, there's A and B.
A and B.
There's only A and B, right?
Yeah, there's only A and B for it, so they're identical.
I don't think the right elevation should ever face the road, and I'm sort of disappointed that that would face neighbors, because it's so horrible, long.
Which one's that? Hold on, which,
It's number 4 on A3.
yeah.
It's just really uninterrupted. I think the other ones, the 1, 2, and 3, are successful. I just think the back one is.
What is that dark horizontal line represent?
I think,
Anything?
I don't know if he's doing like a shingle bow
Uh-huh.
to try to cut the height, a flare.
I know what you mean, but, yeah.
It doesn't show when you look at the corner.
I know,
No, it doesn't
exactly. You
show
would
that
be
when you
seeing
look, right.
something there. That's a question.
Well, it's a question that we're not gonna get an answer on.
I think you want to have something. I mean, these don't have any corner boards,
Oh, we could say they have to have corner boards.
or else you do the shingle flare. And break up the mat. I mean, I think it's nice to have that line there because it will break the height of that tall wall, but, I mean, does anybody else feel like that back the right elevation is, kind of unattractive?
Awfully big, yeah.
And I think these would face the neighbors.
Well, it's a 44-foot wall. No, it's a
45.
45-foot wall. Would it face the neighbor? It's hard to tell.
Fourplex.
I mean, ultimately, it's gonna face a neighbor.
Yeah, the whole, and you'll have potentially 7 of these or 6 of these in a row.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah, that's the problem.
What if I just don't like these fourplexes, what if we didn't have these?
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
What if we didn't have the fourplexes?
Talk into your mic.
Sorry. What if we didn't have the fourplexes?
You mean it just had single family and duplexes?
Yeah.
It's fine with me.
I just think we're trying to make something work that just doesn't work. I haven't really heard anyone saying we love them. That's a great idea. The duplexes I think worked. How many? So we said there might be 7 of these.
Here, it's on the chart.
Yes.
7,
It just seems again like it's
8
it's
duplexes.
creating like a whole nother. It just seems out of place.
Yeah,
And
well,
this-
we've always been stuck on the multifamily buildings. These were a tiny concession.
Like I'd almost rather see more duplexes and a couple more single families.
Well, I think we were pushing throughout the hearing to have smaller buildings interspersed amongst single-family homes, so it looked like a
More cohesive.
more cohesive community.
Yeah.
And we didn't get there. So we certainly can consider the notion of no fourplex, no
This
multifamily.
plan only shows 2 of them, right?
Right.
Yeah, there would be 7 now,
If we were to convert all those,
right?
right.
So
I just think if they're all together, it's going to be weird and awkward. And if they're stuck in the middle surrounded by single-family dwellings, I just the more I keep thinking about the entrances on each side and how is that going to be with neighbors or if they're all together, it's.
there is a landscape plan, right, about how these kind of
Yeah.
how you get to them. Is there one for that?
Was that in?
That might be the larger scale, which I don't have.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of choices. Either, we eliminate the fourplex.
And that gets rid of, and then that essentially gets rid of the condo ownership. I mean, I don't,
Well, wouldn't duplexes be condominium, or you would sell those?
Yeah, no, the plan was to sell those individually as well,
Oh, got it.
individual units.
Yeah.
So yes.
You would just see all these huge, I mean, I know they're smaller than
right,
that,
but, right.
Well, this has been the problem with the plan from the get-go, is the definite two distinct developments within one development.
Right, so it feels like we're putting like a park circle within a development. And I just feel like, there aren't a lot, I mean, there are a lot of numbers, like 7, 8, 9, and 10, who are gonna have fourplexes in their backyard.
right?
And then same with, 18, 17, 16,
And all these, not to mention these people.
yeah.
Well, I think if we're wearing our HTC hats, which we are, this definitely is not in keeping with,
The scale of the buildings,
well, design with Nantucket in mind or anything else.
right?
Are there
No.
fourplexes anywhere else on the island?
No.
No.
There are some rather large, ugly buildings that have been built in the last few years.
Well, I think the planning board weren't they encouraging 4-unit buildings somehow? I don't know, I just remember they changed the zoning district.
Yeah, in certain districts, I think you can get, and I'm not 100%, I think it's,
I thought those were 3.
I thought it was 4 because
I think you
my
can get
office
4.
changed from RC to whatever it is now. And I remember Leslie saying you should be happy you can build 4 apartments there.
It's,
CR.
Commercial Mid-Island.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't want 4 apartments. I want it to be, so,
Well,
But I think this is bigger than 4 apartments.
not really, it's 4 apartments, one's a 3-bedroom, one's a 2-bedroom, I think one's a 1-bedroom and one's a studio. Oh, no.
I'm not necessarily in favor of that zoning change. I mean, I completely agree that buildings of this scale and buildings of late have been built at a very different scale than the island's used to seeing. So,
Well, and again, when we're thinking about this, we need to think about it in terms of local concerns and whether or not they outweigh the need for affordable housing, which,
And then the other part is, what is the HDC jurisdiction on this? Because it's only what's visible from the street, so, but I'm concerned about these neighbors in the back and on the sides.
well, but yeah, so we're not, that would not be theoretically debatable from an HGC perspective, although you might be able to see it through the building.
so does that include private roads?
As long as they're publicly traveled,
Well, these are publicly traveled roads.
yeah. Well, and you can see this through Abrams Quarry.
Well, but
Or
I'm just saying,
whatever.
anytime you
So just
enter
have-
into it, it becomes part of
Yeah.
you're going to be able to drive up to it and
Yep.
look at it. So I don't think sightlines from a public,
well,
Right.
I've been of this view the whole time, and it's about density and intensity in one site, and I think we're really gonna if we do make this decision, the local concern has to be a view of that whole area where we have another 40B there. Is there a 40B behind it? And this is all considered country outlay, is that right, by the zoning board? So I think, we have to couch it in a way that this just isn't an area where you can put this type of density and intensity. That's the local concern. But
yeah, it's a legitimate
goes
local
to-
concern. I think that for all the reasons we've discussed,
right,
Yeah, I feel like the fourplexes have really been plaguing me the last few weeks, and I feel like it really changes what this development is.
I think there's a good argument if our master plan does not include this area, the town's master plan. I think that would be a strong local concern argument that they had planned for it on Old South Road and even Fairgrounds with the new proposed apartments. but not here. And even if it was, this area was included, you have a 40B next door.
You should know that this is town overlay district except the rear of one of the lots.
Okay, and what does that mean?
It's just a different, the master plan addresses the town overlay district in a different way than it does the country. Just
Okay.
want you to understand.
And this is not part of the country.
So the
Overlay district.
rear of 3, which is
Yeah.
shaped like a hammer, with the handle being on South Shore Road, that is country overlay. And then the entire front kind of quadrilateral of the locus is town overlay.
You know, the bottom line is just because it's not in the master plan as an area to have super dense development, that's the whole crux of 40B.
Yeah, I realize that.
Unfortunately, so I do think that,
I think we would have a stronger argument, is my point, if
Yeah.
it wasn't in an area that's included in the town master plan.
yeah, the concern is legitimate.
It's the classic cramming a bunch of these developments in one small area. When, I believe, if I look at the town plan, and George would have to outline this, that, the town plan seems to go out
Yeah, he knows about, I did discuss this with him. And
South Shore Road.
He's been given the information about the overlay districts.
Try to talk in your mics, because George can even watch this at home, hopefully he's recuperating and not watching this, but you never know. So,
And if you remove this, if I'm not mistaken, after looking through Eleanor's piece, if you just had lots, it would look more like R5 zoning, right? Which would be
Dense,
more
but in
palatable.
keeping with-
Yeah,
with-
which, you're right, so we would be, is it down zoning is the right term? I always get that, or up zoning.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
no, you'd be
we're
down
taking
zoning.
lug 2 and making it R5.
Yeah, I mean, I
which
think
is-
you're getting a really significant increase in lots with just the duplexes and the single family.
But, now we're kind of digressing and.
Well, we can digress. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the whole point of the deliberations.
Well, I think really
when
thinking
you
about
look
the
at this as
HGC.
HGC, it's not approvable in the massing the way it is now.
Yeah, I just can't imagine the
That brings you to
HGC.
digressing to-
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with us going in a, reasonable discussion tangent, if you will. I don't know how we resolve it. I mean, I think we were clear throughout that we didn't think that the multifamily aspect of this project was appropriate in any way, shape, or form for all the health, safety, and local concerns that were voiced. We had gotten to 7 of these fourplexes as some sort of, in our mind, compromise, but that doesn't mean it's the end. It's the end.
I mean, it seems like it would be much more successful if we had more duplexes, they were more varied, and they were interspersed around the single-family houses.
I've thought so from day one.
And
So you
then,
drop.
and then maybe the concerns of the fire chiefs would be, and I know that his comments are based on the 8-unit plans, but still, I mean, there'd be less density, less concern with fire and accessing the buildings and the different units. Maybe that's just the part of the decision.
Yeah, I mean, there were some serious health and safety concerns in the fire chief's
Right.
Yeah.
memo
Yeah.
with the present plan. Never mind some of the other plans, but
You at one point had looked at how many single-family units would be in there if it was all, what was the number you came up with?
came up with somewhere between 54 and 60, depending on, I had a little sketch going.
It'd be so nice they could turn this whole thing into green space.
I know, I'm thinking like this would be such a nice,
That was not with a lot of green space.
You know,
With some, though.
I've had the chance to look through some of these hack rulings, and I know we shouldn't presume that this is going to be appealed, but it's probably a good chance. And you know, one hammer that I see coming down all the time is the zoning board can't redesign a project for the developer. And I've also seen for the fire issues, similar issues have come up, and you know, if it's part of it, and if George was here, he probably could talk to this. So I don't know, but that, you know, as long as it meets the state and federal guidelines, that we can't really take that much into account. So I'm concerned that we're going to redesign this and maybe it be challenged, and that we need to really find some local concerns to hang our hat on if we're going to really redesign this.
well, my local concern honestly would be that I would rather see more affordable units available to people that need them versus the fourplex condos that I still think, even if there is a year-round restriction, are pricing out people who might need housing. So I'd rather see more single families, and I know that means that there's more fair market value, but there's also more affordable units than the condos that I think the price point was ranging $450 to $750, and $750 being a 3-bedroom, right? And in Satcham's Path, there were, I think, 3-bedroom that sold, depending on your qualifications, I think it was $275. And one person at 150%, which I don't think are they doing that here? They're not. But still got a 2 or 3-bedroom house for $500 something. So I just think the prices are more reasonable if there's a, you know, even, I don't know what that would get them, like 3 more affordables maybe, or 2 more affordables.
Well, we asked that question repeatedly, and, you know, if nothing else, asked if they would be willing to restrict them income-wise, and the answer was no. So, as Jim said, we can't do a wholesale redesign.
Yeah, no, I don't want to redesign their project, but I think if we say I don't want to redesign their project of like, oh, put this here and put that there, but if we,
And, you know, I'm just thinking, describing my feelings on this. This is also a unique situation, as Ed Marchand has mentioned, that we really didn't come to an agreement, so we're kind of left to plan this, and maybe the hack is okay with us.
right.
Figuring the rest of this out.
Most of the other decisions that you were looking at had a more definitive end.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they had a plan that they
Right,
were-
so-
We're
Yeah.
not exactly redesigning the project,
You know,
because we
as-
don't even have a full design
and I-
project to redesign.
Right,
Right,
and
so,
George
you
George
know,
could
maybe that-
address that in the comp permit by distinguishing us from whatever that
Yeah.
case is, to pull
Yeah,
out
right.
those distinctions to say. If we we may talk to him and he may say, yeah, you can't, you know, it's not a smart idea to get to the level of detail we're getting at, but also a lot of those towns probably don't have an HDC, or a 40B is not going. If they do have a historic district commission, it's not going in a historic district.
That's right,
Whereas
yeah,
our island is, the entire
thing
thing
is
is a historic district, whether it was intended or not, that's how it is, so. So I don't know, thinking as the HDC and just the project in general, the longer I sit with it, the fourplex, I'm more and more uncomfortable with it. But I'm just one person, you know.
Yeah, that's what my comments just relate to what you said. I know we're moving along with all these other designs, and maybe we continue on and think about
Think
this.
through this a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, we can continue to think about it. We can continue to at least take a a pass at the HTC aspect
Yeah.
of the fourplex or not,
I think we should, because I think that would,
just in case.
Yeah.
And get it out of the way, or we can hold it and just go to the houses.
I think we should go through it, because I think it's a helpful exercise
Yeah.
to really flush out either getting to, yes, it might be appropriate, or this really is really inappropriate.
I think the way they're masked right now is inappropriate.
Yeah.
With that one elevation, that's a complete box. I think that's inappropriate. I think
This
the
part here.
front and rear look fine. They seem to be in scale. Their left elevation is a little, that gable's a little fat, but I think that one's even okay. I'm really bothered by the right. That's gonna end up being visible from a lot of publicly traveled streets.
Do you have any suggestions on that, by chance? I mean, if they were to elongate that, I think they can't elongate the rooflet because, now that I'm looking at the floor plan,
Yeah,
because the window wells for the basement bedrooms. Now, you could make the argument,
We said no basement bedrooms.
no, I don't believe that's,
Well, it's on the new chart, says no basement bedrooms.
you said no basement bedrooms in the fourplexes?
You said no
I
basement
thought you
bedroom.
said no basement bedrooms. period.
Everywhere.
Oh, okay. I'm senile, so I forgot. Works for me.
Pretty sure that's what we were.
That's what I
Well,
All right, well then, then again,
I thought
I
we
think
said,
they said where all the bedrooms can't be in the basement or something.
yeah, I
We
thought
went
it,
back on that
Oh,
the last time we met. We had started that way, saying that people could have a couple bedrooms in the basement as long as they had one upstairs, and then I think the last time we met, we changed that to no bedroom.
I thought that was not including the fourplexes, because they needed to have a bedroom in the basement.
So second,
Let me go back.
Single family is definitely none.
Yeah. And the duplexes were none. They don't have, do the duplexes have a basement? Let me look back.
Oh, well, wait a minute, so.
no, it definitely is on,
8
I mean, if
duplex
this is
units,
correct,
No
it's,
basement bedrooms.
no
Fourplex units, it doesn't say that.
it does.
Where?
Well, you go from page 2 on the 28 fourplex units. As it goes, Roman numeral 1, 2,
Oh, these are out of order. Got it.
3, 4,
Oh, sorry, did I?
That's okay.
5,
Sorry.
and
Yeah,
6.
I see that.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think what we said at the last meeting, and it's hard for us to remember, obviously, was,
I'm looking at my
Green didn't
notes.
have any basement bedrooms,
we agreed that no basement bedrooms, period, across the
and
level.
that's why we came to that conclusion, I think. And we didn't have any at Sagem's Path.
Right, yes, I remember.
Nor did
Yeah.
Rugged Scott have any legal bedrooms in the basement.
Right. So that seems to be pretty consistent.
All right, so no basement bedrooms at all.
It doesn't change the HDC aspect of,
No.
well, it does change the HDC aspect of the fourplex because that the 3-bedroom becomes a 1-bedroom and you could put the porch along the whole, or more of that long side to break it up.
Right. Maybe they could pull another gable forward or
Something.
something to make it.
I mean, again, I don't know to what extent, and it's an interesting question. Are we meant to sit here and redesign this building? Or are we simply just, as the HCC, say this is inappropriate?
Inappropriate. I was gonna
And
say,
it
that's-
does not pass the muster, and
Let them come back.
therefore,
I would rather say that.
okay.
Why don't we do that? Because it's, this fourplex building is too big for that site, too big for that location.
Yeah, I'm 100% fine with it, and I think, again, if we had had discussions with the applicant, as we did with the houses, the architect made changes, and they were, the buildings became better, for lack of a better word, and I think the architect would agree with that, but we didn't have that opportunity here, so these buildings are
Inappropriate.
inappropriate in scale. I mean, it's roughly, God, I can't do the math that quickly.
1750 or something on that.
On the ground? Right,
They're
so,
almost 50% larger than some of the, I mean, that's very round numbers.
And not to put you on the spot, when you did your rough calculation, your rough sort of conventional subdivision plan, you came up with possibly as many as 60 lots?
I don't think so, but
Not that many.
that included some ground space. I'd really have to go back in the annals. And it was obviously a much different, but it was in that range, Jeff. And that was 5,000 square foot zone, foot lots. I would say it might have been 54, it might have been 60, I can't remember. It was so early. I can bring it next time, Friday. Okay, so but on this particular building, it's inappropriate. I mean, I think we could go so far as to say the little details up in the gable ends, the little cross thingy, that's inappropriate.
Oh, this thing?
Yeah, all of these in the gable, I mean,
And
it's
the-
just weird.
Yeah,
This is on the fourplex?
Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
building in and of itself is inappropriate, and so they would have to come, if somehow fourplexes are included, they'd have to come back. All right, so we good with that?
yes.
And we're saying there's no,
Architecturally inappropriate.
in massing and scale, and no basement bedrooms.
Well,
Yeah.
That's not
That's under
HGC, but I'm
HGC.
just, it's not HGC, but I'm just
Yeah,
clarifying.
we got,
Okay.
yeah, yes, yes. All right, so you get to the houses.
Which ones? Mine are out of order, so which one are you on?
Kind of
A4?
at the very
I was just gonna go in an order which starts with A, at least the way my things were given to me, A4 and A5.
Yep, that's what mine are.
And it does, A4 and A5? On page A2.0,
A 2.0, okay. Yep.
you got it? These have ghosted sections, or clouded sections, I should say. So there were some result of past discussions.
I have one concern.
Go ahead.
That little roof that sticks up above, is that the mudroom?
Yeah, it's weird,
That's odd.
Oh, this thing?
totally weird.
Yeah. So from the side, so what,
That,
that's the bedroom. That could just have a lower
Yeah,
eave
that-
height or a, we gotta resolve that.
yeah, no, that, if nothing else, it could meet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's this right here, right?
Have a little what?
Well, eave height, I mean, they just have to resolve it. Could have a lower eave height so that the ridge of the, let me just get my,
It's on the left elevation
Yeah.
and the right, we can see it.
so
I mean, I
the
think
rear, left, and
the
right.
easy thing to do here would be to mark up a plan, and that becomes part of the record.
Okay.
This has, and you can make notes right on your plan, if you don't mind, Lisa. And we'll hand it into,
What's this situation? Oh, right here.
That's that in elevation.
Right, like, so like, what's going on?
That's what's creating that little point. So when the ridge comes over that, you see how that's going in
Yeah.
front of that? It's creating that little point, but it's at an angle.
Right, but I'm saying like, why doesn't this continue?
Oh, that.
Yeah, like, why is it?
This
that
is the dormer, and this is the eave. So this dormer is popping up above this roof.
I know, but doesn't that look weird? Like, what,
Well, hopefully what we're asking them to do is,
bring it down, oh, match it with
Bring
that,
that
so that
down.
would be,
so this might have to come down.
do you think it's weird
So
that
get rid of
the
this.
dorm, on the front elevation, the dormer left edge sort of appears to
Die into the
sit
roof?
on top of the
you mean this
the
right
pitched
here?
roof?
Yes,
That
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
Other side.
this right here.
Oh, right there, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was asking about
Yeah.
too, like, it seems,
Right
Should it
here.
get carried
Yeah.
out farther, is that what you're saying?
Or the dormer should be smaller or large, yeah, something.
something,
Or they drop that, again, why is that ridge so high?
right.
If they drop that down, you'd be able to, resolve that by
Yeah,
just
why
having
wouldn't
the,
that, why wouldn't that eave height be sort
the
of
same as the porch,
consistent with the porch?
yeah.
I mean, maybe that porch is a little lower, but. All right, so lower this.
I think these windows look odd, so small up there too, but, I don't know how much detail we want to get into, but those two little 6 light awning windows are just dinky, they're weird, they're sort of weird looking.
And the reason for that arguably is there is none.
One's a bathroom, so you just get a bigger shutter. The other one is because
Because of the roof.
roof is in the way,
Right, so if that roof is lowered,
right? I'm just gonna say 3 equal windows.
yeah, definitely, that looks weird. And that other window can be slightly smaller, unless
Right.
it's the egress window for,
You're marking up the plan, right?
Yes,
'Cause I'm not taking notes at this point.
they're
so-
kind of messy, and I can clean them up
Okay.
if you're gonna make them an attachment.
I'm just not taking notes at this point because you guys are going back and forth. It's too hard to follow.
Okay. So, that's the front. That then is, I don't know why all these single-story masses are so tall.
yeah, it would seem all of the single-story, it's hard to tell, because again, these aren't even scalable, but the single-story eave height should be lower throughout.
Yeah. Yeah, the bedroom number 3, there's no reason for that to be so tall either. I mean, I don't care about that one unless that turns around and becomes, that becomes the rear. Yeah, so that would be lower. So at the front, this one would be lower.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Yeah,
And then from this side. That's the TV room.
And then I think all the details are similar to what we discussed already on the duplex. They need gutters. The rake overhangs that are shown have to be built. It's the main ridge isn't showing any sort of sub-rake, but you'd need one, don't you think, Lisa?
The main
The main
rake
ridge,
isn't
you mean
showing-
here?
I mean, the main gable,
Gable, because it's so fat.
the rakes don't have any sub-rake in
Yes,
there.
it does, doesn't it?
No.
Yeah, it has like a one by
It
two
looks like a
2.
1 by
No, but
2
I'm
and a
saying
1
if
by
that is a flying rake, it needs a,
Or it has a soffit.
yeah, it would have a soffit, but normally would have something for shingles to tuck under, wouldn't it?
Can't they tuck in behind the soffit though?
Yeah, okay, it looks like poop. I don't like that detail, but I think it looks better with the sub-rake, or whatever you
Let's
call
add
it.
a sub.
Add the sub-rake.
I think these columns are too small.
Dainty, definitely.
Yeah, those have to be 8 by 8s. How do you feel about the dormer in the back? Having the one small window, that doesn't bother me as much because it's not the front of the building.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
I think the proportion of the window should be a 6/6 top, match the top sash.
Okay. What about the 9-light window? What's that all about?
Where's that one?
right here.
Oh, yeah, they're all, there's
That
two,
one? He's always talking
what
about.
is that? Yeah,
The
that,
nine-
It's in a bathroom. It's above the toilet is why. I mean, I don't really, again, it is the back.
I don't like these windows at the gable ends. They look like, right,
It's the same size.
right. That should be, the one to the right of the front door should just be a 6 light. Top half of the sash.
Which elevation you looking at? The right?
Front.
Front. Oh, yeah.
And I don't love the 6/6s in the gable end. Because they don't have a occupiable attic, correct?
No. So just eliminate those altogether.
Well, no, I think they should have a window up there. I just think the glass proportion is odd. Maybe they should just be 9 lights.
Right, the glass size is smaller.
Yeah, it's square too, and not
Yeah,
more.
right, exactly.
Yeah, by the way, on the left elevation, on that right-hand portion of the building, the little gable, it does show the checkered line where they must have been thinking of putting a sub-break.
The
See
left
that?
elevation.
Uh-huh, I do.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that should be throughout on
You
all
don't,
of
you
them.
think that's what that is? I bet that's a section cut and that's showing the rafter.
I know, but it looks much better.
Okay. Okay. We're good with the 6
Well,
over.
don't you really need something like that?
I think you do. I don't think it looks good tucked under the soffit.
Yeah, okay, I get
I mean,
that.
I've done it, but
We don't ever do them like this because we always have a crown.
no, you have the crown on the yeah.
And then
We
you do have a sub break because that's.
Yeah.
But I've never just done like a box thing like this.
It's okay. The box is okay.
Okay. Anything else?
So 8x8 posts, white cedar shingles, colors by menu,
Yeah.
the square window up in the gable, the windows on the, you got it all.
Yeah. I have a little note here that I'll give to.
And these windows,
Eleanor.
of course, do show a head casing.
Yeah, these windows show a little head casing detail, and I think you should have to maintain that.
Cap detail to remain. Well, I think it's important on this building because one of the reasons is the gable is so large.
Yeah. All right, so then you get to A4, A5, a different version.
Here's the
Did we
bat
decide
board.
that we didn't like the board and batten siding on these single-family houses?
I thought so.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so no board and batten.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one thing on the barn, but in the houses, no.
As a matter of fact, the notations say white cedar face
Face
shingles.
shingles.
So they just never changed it.
And then the other comments would be the same on the A plans, but since they have these brackets, maybe we should do a different window type.
Defer to you on that. So what would be appropriate?
2/2s, maybe?
Okay.
To make them a little bit
Where
different.
are we now?
Well, when they've changed the porch details to have the little brackets and the crossbuck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So maybe just changing the window type to be 2/2 to make it more, to make it look a little bit more distinctive. But all the other comments carry over. I wish they could put that window centered under the gable. Is there no way to move?
So basically, the only changes to these would be then the porch details change and then the window type changes.
Yeah, and then, yeah, the one in the gable end would become a 4 light.
Right.
The doors would probably become 4 lights
Well, it's interesting. This plan shows the 2/1.
in
In some locations.
some
right.
locations.
So we're going 2/2 or 2/1.
I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't feel strongly about it.
2/1. And then all the other comments about the eave heights and this and the
Right, would carry
sub
over.
breaks and et cetera, et cetera. And the height, again, is from existing grade. I think it says it's 28 feet, basically. No chimney.
I mean, this is on the back, but wouldn't you rather have that window gate centered
Which one?
Yeah, why is it centered?
because of the toilet?
Oh,
They'd have to read it, I mean, they just have to read it, look the back one. It's just so weird to have it just slightly off.
I mean,
You know me, I don't like symmetry, but
it didn't really bother me on
Mr. Asymmetrical. Remember him?
It stands out so much.
What'd you say?
I said it didn't bother me on the.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it.
No, I mean, if
I don't think
if the
it's a
board and
biggie.
batten goes away, I think you don't notice it as much.
Right, that's fine.
So,
I'll have to unearth the Mr. Asymmetrical.
I have it.
You do?
I'll bring it.
I think you had one big eye. Rented a cartoon. Had once.
All right, so now we're on B4 and B5. Bingo. I think this was in large part a result of comments we already made, where, for instance, on the rear elevation, that roof
Yeah, we continue to cross.
continued across, looks much better. I mean, this plan looks okay to me.
Yep, and those posts look like they're 8x8s.
Yeah, we'll just note that, just to be sure.
Yeah, I think this one looks fine.
And now again, they're showing flying rakes. At least it looks like it to me. So I think you need the sub rake, but I doubt that it was consciously not put on. But
can you show me what you're talking about, Ed, when you say?
well, you see
fine?
how this doesn't line up this line.
Yeah.
So this whole portion sticks out.
and
It's
that's to-
proud of this wall.
Sort of beyond the
So it's
facing
accounting for a
She's
gutter?
fine.
No, it's just a detail. It gives it more shadow. It's attractive.
So like
So all I'm
against the
saying is you
building,
have
need
one
to
more
have
piece
another-
here, because from in elevation,
Uh-huh.
if I can draw
To
this
come out.
quickly,
Well,
here's the
so-
rake. It
Yeah, when
returns
on
to the
this,
wall,
If this is 6
Here's the
inches
wall.
beyond this,
Yeah.
and then there's a
You need
little
another
another
piece of
piece
wood.
here that the
Oh,
shingle.
gotcha.
add the shingles, that the shingles
Tuck
tuck
under.
up too.
Yep, gotcha.
I didn't do that
I'm
very
so
well.
glad I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, but I don't understand a lot of other things. And
That's
take my word.
I do, I take your word.
Don't feel bad.
See, I think they show these differently though, just
That
to your
drawing's
point.
terrible.
That's not shown,
I think Lisa could
Drawing was
explain it.
art.
that's not shown as a flying rake.
No, this is.
Yeah, that is,
Which one's not?
on A4 and A5.
Oh, we're back to A4
I'm
and
just
A5?
She's just showing me
I'm
the
just saying
difference.
The difference, that's why I think this one does, I agree with you, does need a sub rake. A4 and A5 might not need one.
Well, it definitely shows it on the main gable.
Well, but it's showing it as a box as opposed to a
Just-
flying rake, because you're not seeing the edge of the rake board come down.
Well, I don't know
So
what
this
you
is
did.
what you're talking about,
I
this
don't
little
know
piece
about
right
that little
here.
piece.
Oh, okay,
This
all right,
rake
now I
is
get
not
it.
flush to the wall, is
That's
all
right.
I'm getting.
Right, but it's different.
I don't
from
mean
this.
flying past
This
the
is
edge.
fine, this one is showing some of that's flying past the edge, it's got a little piece of wood.
Yeah, no, we're talking apples and Macintoshes and, Galas. Same idea. We're on the same page.
Okay. I just didn't think they were as necessary in the other design, but that's okay.
I still
wanna make
think
you
you
happy.
need, I know that Susan thinks my drawing is horrible, which it is, but this is the rake,
That's this little piece
this
here,
is the soffit,
yeah.
this piece.
Oh,
And then you need that piece against the wall. The shingles tucked under right here.
No, I don't know, I'm not a builder.
Can I see that?
Yeah, you
Ed?
do.
For
Why-
all
why
the years
wouldn't
you've been a wannabe architect. Let me see what kind of
Why
skills
wouldn't you
you've created.
create a little,
Oh my God.
Okay.
we don't have to talk about that, because it's.
Yeah, it's, we're beyond that. And I quite frankly am confident that the architect, Chris, would easily know what I'm speaking about and say, yeah, of course. 'Cause
So
it's gonna make the
everything,
building that much more attractive.
yeah, and the developer's gonna say it's gonna make it that much more expensive.
No, we're talking about probably $200 in material. No.
For entire house?
That's-
Well, but they've already shown the overhead, the rake protruding. I didn't come up with that detail. That's shown in the plan.
They're showing expensive details.
Yeah, but they showed those.
Yep.
I'm not insisting that they build out those rakes. I'm just saying if you're going to do it, it should have that last
insisting
piece.
because we're asking them to match these drawings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
but
we
they,
are-
We're just
but
asking
they,
them to
but
do
they,
what they've shown.
yeah,
Exactly.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted that, I didn't want that to be interpreted as if they decide not to do the rakes, they can't, the rake overhangs, they don't have to.
no, absolutely not.
They
They
have
have
to
to
match the
do,
drawings.
right, because it shows here and it's an attractive detail and,
Is that why right here, like these don't connect? Like, see how there's a space here?
No,
in
that's
here, or
just
just
a
a-
CAD
okay.
error, that should go all the way up.
Because the same thing here and, okay,
That's just drawing.
okay.
So on B, 4, and 5, everything was okay. We're just gonna do the same note about the gutters being shown, trim, 8x8 posts, right? Sub-break. Anything else?
Lisa, last meeting you mentioned something about utilities, like where,
how's that?
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
better?
which I don't know what's preferred, but
Well, they definitely don't like them on the front
They was
elevation.
on the fly.
I think it varies depending on, they would have to be on the sides.
Does that?
so
should go
just
back-
put a general.
Yeah, no utilities on the,
On the front, I think that's good. I object to
Yeah.
that, to somebody telling me where I have to put my utilities, other than not in the front.
Yeah, I see the trend of
Yeah, I do. too.
people posting them out by the road. What is that? Is that allowed?
That
With
was
a
more
board.
when they didn't have electronic readers. Now they don't get out,
But I'm actually seeing it in new build.
on bigger places
Really?
where,
The mon, like, can I go Monomoy?
I don't like it. It's almost like a temporary. I always
Yeah, it
thought
looks
was
like a temporary.
like
It's not
one of those
temporary.
huge CT, like a big panel.
Yeah.
Those are kind of ugly.
Those are allowed, or
Yeah.
We didn't address that, again when we were talking about the fourplexes, but the utilities is,
I think rather than, again, us trying to design exactly where it is, other than sub breaks, I might add.
'Cause those are important.
so
Yeah, we just say
that
it can't be
now.
on the front.
Yeah.
Because then there are certain codes and whatnot. And unfortunately, the box gets bigger outside, the farther away from the panel inside it is. And we can't control that. I mean, we can't stipulate that the disconnect has to be inside, not outside. No. That's too much, in my opinion.
We just say it can't be visible
On
from the
front of
road.
building.
No, you can still see it.
But you see the side as
It
opposed
can't
to
be
like
on the
dial.
front
Front.
elevation.
Right.
Which,
So it could be like just around the corner here.
right, which is where anybody in their right mind would put the thing. Nobody wants to come home and see their meter socket.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done with B?
On to C. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
CA 3 and 4.
I don't like the rear. I mean, that's a total, the size of those windows is a big HTC no-no where the median rail is not happening at the,
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one.
I mean, I know it's a picayune thing, but
But if it's a standard HGC thing, then
it
it
is.
should just.
You
be-
see how this is lined up
Yeah.
roughly?
Oh, right, I see.
So these windows are just that
oh, I
much
got
smaller.
you. Yep.
So they have to be,
They-
they have to be
larger.
made bigger?
Yep.
So you could just make the notation the meeting rail has to line up with the eve per.
HTC guidelines.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, it's to get the bed under the window. But you can put the bed on the other wall. It's tight.
Did we say we wanted this to continue or no?
I mean, because they show the bed under the bigger windows on the other side.
Or is that a
It's
different
not,
one?
I think that's a drafting error. They don't show being continued.
Okay.
Those are that was once a bathroom, right?
What's that?
What, they have the smaller windows?
No, I think they were always bedrooms. I don't think there was any reason for it
No,
because,
One's a bathroom,
oh, the other side's a bathroom, you're right.
yeah, so to make it
Arguably to get it over that counter, but you would just make the vanity more of a freestanding piece.
yeah.
So it's not an issue.
Other than that,
I mean, I think the little side door looks sad
With no roof.
with no roof over
oh,
it.
jeez.
I'm just saying.
The right elevation.
So does the rear,
on the rear?
elevation, but whatever. Not everyone can be happy, Jeff.
I will say though, there's a couple houses in my neighborhood that have this kind of side door that's just by itself with these two little steps, and it looks odd when you drive by. Like you can see it when you drive by, and it just looks like this random door that's kind of floating with no
Yeah, but
Let's add a
little porchlet.
Yeah.
on
A
the rear and the
A
right.
small porch.
On both the rear and the side?
Not,
I don't think on the rear. I don't think you have to do it on the. I mean,
It's on the
arguably
right
you don't
elevation,
see
right?
it. Yeah.
So you're just talking about a bracketed roof.
Well, or you could even go over that double. I mean, the little four light window
So, what?
Are you talking about the
like
right,
this,
right elevation?
Yeah, he's talking about extending the deck and doing.
like that.
Oh,
I was just kind of drawing a little bracketed roof, but
Bracketed roof's fine too.
yeah,
Either one. You have
Well,
a little
give 'em an
side porch
option.
when you're coming in. You're
I get it.
taking your boots off.
well, we
or-
could do the bracketed a porch there and then make this one a little bracketed.
That's cute. I did it the other way. I like this one.
Oh, you did over the kitchen windows?
Whatever. No, maybe not. 'Cause then it would be dark.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like a little.
I would think you'd want a little roof over
I,
there.
so I think you would definitely want a roof. First of all,
I don't have one at my house.
over the mudroom.
No, over the mudroom. Well, actually, right now I don't. I'm adding one over the mudroom though.
But doesn't it come in the side of a little shed?
Become a little bay. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
a little funky.
It's a little funky, but it's not stuck on the side of the building.
Right. I mean, I don't. If you feel strongly that the right side needs a porch, that's fine.
I do.
Okay. And then, but do you want to do a little bracketed roof on this other side?
On the rear,
This is not a door you're going to be going in and out.
I don't
of.
think it's necessary.
This one's not necessary.
It's also the rear.
Okay.
The 4 light door on the front, the 2 light window, I mean, the 2/2s,
4-panel door on the front.
four panel.
I
on
think
it.
the window on the right should just be another big window.
Mm-hmm. Why is it small? Is
Oh,
it
it's
because the
the
stairs
laundry
are there? Oh, laundry room.
You
It's
guys
a little
agree with
odd.
that?
That's okay though, because if they could, I don't know, whatever.
It's a little strange, but that's fine.
And again, everything else stays the same. In terms of colors and
And everything else. Okay.
all right, D4 and 5.
I think the left elevation is horrible, but
You mean the front?
is
With-
that the front?
What?
The left? The one with a big gable that sticks up from the eave?
What? No, I'm looking at the front where you have that little, the one shed dormer on one side, and
Oh, that, yes.
that looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
This one is pretty bad.
Why wouldn't they just do a shed on the other side? What's the problem with that?
Yeah, why wouldn't you do the double shed? Look much better.
Are you talking about this thing here?
This, and
Yeah.
that makes it look really top.
It looks really lopsided.
Yeah, I would say get rid of that gable. Yeah, I mean, that would be relatively, because the right elevation is attractive. Relatively speaking. And the left would then become very similar.
Yeah, it just doesn't have yeah, it would be very similar.
Doesn't have the,
It doesn't have the porch. so it
porch, but
helps.
it helps, but you can have everything.
Okay.
And you get rid of that weird condition on the front.
And on the rear.
Yeah, on the side door, where's the side door is not, it's okay.
There's a door, single door out of the family room, and then there's a and French doors.
What is this?
Yeah, the mudroom is covered, and
That's
that,
the
that
railing
works,
going
this
to the
one
basement.
works.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what
that
I
must
thought.
be that.
Oh, there, okay.
Okay, where's the mudroom?
The mudroom's around, on the right elevation. Sort of tucked in that front corner.
Oh, I see. I got it. Yep. Now, so most of these windows are, most of these last buildings are showing 2/1s. Are we gonna allow them to change the window type?
I think, I have no problem with changing the
The window type.
window type.
Okay.
I don't either.
agree.
Do you want to simply say you can go 2/1, 2/2s, or 6/6s kind
Or
of thing?
6/1s.
Or 6/1s? Mix and match, please.
Yeah,
Is
depending
this
on what people
across the
want.
board, or just for the D?
I think,
I think across the board, so similar to
The paint color.
the paint color choices.
Okay, so change window type for all single-family dwellings
I wouldn't do 4/4s though. They're a weird proportion.
to
Okay.
either 6/6,
6/1, 2/2, or 2/1.
6/6, 6/6 is in there too, though, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or 2/2.
Or 2/1.
But there are, and there
2/1.
are a couple that have the 9 light, right? Or do we change that and get rid of
No,
those?
they're in there.
They're in there, but I think hopefully
I
when
mean-
they actually develop these, they'll look at them and say, because we have this window type, we should not have a 4-light. We should have.
Now,
a
having
6-light.
said that, Lisa, it's still, and again, I'm not saying the developer would want to do this, but all of a sudden, this window's huge. Or, it basically still has to look like the plan. So, again, I don't know the mechanism on that ultimately,
Well, I think the size of the window stays the same. It's just the paint, how
well,
it's
that's not
painted.
necessarily true. It becomes a 6/6, the proportions do change. So therefore, the window changes a little bit. I'm not talking about a
Right.
lot, but what we're not giving is carte blanche to go crazy.
No, I mean, you couldn't take these two, like, say, on this right elevation of type D4 and D5, and then make it into, like, a big bay window, or,
No.
like, it's,
Yeah.
you're just,
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna be constrained by proportion and, obviously, again, they wanna make it look good, so.
yeah.
Now, this building is almost 29 feet tall.
But will that change when, oh, no, it won't.
The other building, the tallest one is 28 so far.
Where do
which
you
was
see
A,
that?
Right here,
Oh,
2811.
And what's allowed?
30?
30 by zoning, but the HGC generally holds you around to 28. I don't,
I mean, with that wide gable at the front, I mean, if you get rid of the
you'd have to drop the
plate height even more,
blade height a little bit more, yeah. It's just hard to tell, like, it looks like.
I don't have, if they go to the shed on both sides, I'm
You're
okay.
okay with that?
I
Okay.
think so.
I wish there were drawings to tell you, like, how big the windows were and things like that, that the HGC would want to know.
How big, you have to denote the window size?
We have to give a window schedule.
Oh.
Yeah, you do. You have to do a whole
Okay,
window
well
schedule.
then
That's
let's
true.
make that a condition. You have to supply a window schedule before.
It's just hard to know, like, are these, I mean, Chris said that they were not overly high ceilings, but, so the question is could they get a foot out because they're showing a 9-foot ceiling? But I'm not that concerned about it, but
But I think if it's a requirement of the HDC, we should ask for a window schedule.
Well, you would need one for the building permit. Lisa, if you're concerned about the height, we just restricted all heights to 28 feet.
No, I'm fine. I'm okay with it. I was just pointing it out.
I mean, if it were 28, if it were 29.11,
29, I don't think it should be over 29 feet.
no, I agree. If it were 29.11, I think,
Well, but you know, I don't want it to come back at 29.6,
yeah, no, the maximum height is the maximum height.
right?
Absolutely.
Existing grade.
Which is what, the
That's a pretty
2811?
tall building for that neighborhood.
It is.
All
a
right,
building.
That part of
okay.
town, you don't see buildings that tall.
Yeah,
Let's rethink it then.
particularly when there are that many of them and they're so close to the street. I mean, you might see a building taller, like that has a 30-foot front yard setback, so you're
Right.
glancing, you know, down the driveway to them, but these are 10 feet off the road, aren't they, some of them?
Yeah. Some are,
HTC gave me a hard time about the height of a building out there just recently. I really had to shorten it up a little.
So what did you get approved at?
27, 26 or something?
that was the second building?
Second building, yeah.
What was the first building? Was it bigger?
No, I had to keep it the same height or smaller than the existing building.
Well, it makes some sense. Well, they did two choices. We don't have, there would be options if we restrict the height to 28 feet, for instance. You either lower the plate or
Change the
change the pitch slightly. So,
Which might not actually be a bad thing, only from the perspective, when you look at the sides, you have this kind of, you know, really skinny cheek. So if this pitch was a little lower, and this became a little lower, I mean, I don't know.
well, again, we don't want to,
A lot of redesign.
well, we are redesigning to some degree. I mean, this,
That's what the HDC does.
yeah, good point.
So why don't we just say it's a little high and that it shouldn't be taller than 2711, which is,
Well, I think 2711 is the right height.
the other A structure was
Exactly.
2711.
Done.
And this has a steeper roof pitch, I think, than those other buildings.
I think
is
so,
what
it's
I'm
hard to,
looking at.
yeah,
hard
it
to
looks like
tell.
it might be an 11 and 12, or,
This looks like a 12 pitch, yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's just note, there are no, I mean, again, it's to the plans, but the plans don't show us what the pitch is, which is
The other,
your,
well, on the A4 and 5, the roof pitch is a 9 pitch, and that's a 2711 ridge height building. This one, they don't tell us what the roof pitch is, but it looks to me to be probably an 11 or a 12 pitch.
yeah. Well, all I was gonna get at, Jeff, is that since we don't know exactly what it is, we just have to go with the HDC, a maximum of 12 over 12. That's the maximum still,
And the
isn't it?
minimum, which is an 8 pitch,
Right.
which it looks like this next one might be. 'Cause
So
it's-
do we want to make a comment about the pitch on this house?
No, I think we just restrict the
The height?
height to 2711, and then they can either make it narrower and keep the roof pitch, or they can keep the width and flatten the roof pitch.
They could easily flatten that roof pitch a little bit.
Are you just talking about building E or?
Yes.
Yeah, D.
Talking about D4 and 5, yeah.
Yep. Actually, is there gonna be a 5 if there's no bedroom basements anymore? Or
No, I mean,
basement
that,
bedrooms?
no, but that doesn't change the exterior look.
Right. So the number of bedrooms are gonna be restricted on the matrix that Eleanor has typed up, because once you remove the bedrooms in the basement, there'll no longer be 5-bedroom houses or 4-bedroom houses.
Well, there's some 4 bedrooms all above ground.
Right, okay, but she should update that based on eliminating all the bedrooms in the basement.
Well, they can still figure out how to,
Oh, but they can't change the exterior or the ground coverage.
Well, which brings us to another point. From the HDC standpoint, you're supposed to show window wells. These plans don't show window wells, so the elevations.
Well, the way we normally do it is you just dot them in.
they could still have 4 bedrooms though, like on this D4,
No, there's still 4 bedrooms.
Yeah,
now.
because they just, where one of the bedrooms is in the basement, they just move, they have a giant office, just make that in the office into a bedroom. So then you have 4 bedrooms, you lose an office, and the office goes in the basement, you just flip-flop it,
Oh, that's true.
right? So I mean,
Then the office turns into a bedroom.
yeah, the office is a bedroom, and the bedroom in the basement becomes the office.
But are we gonna, so do we wanna put the number of bedrooms on this? Because,
Well, yeah, because if it says 5 and they can
Ultimately.
make 5, then, I mean, the office is huge. On the next one, they could split that. They could make the closet smaller, and they could figure it out. Whatever.
okay, so we're not restricting.
You know-
No, I mean, I mean, if they find a way to make 5
What?
bedrooms in there, then
Looking at my notes from last meeting, in condition 14, it said no basement units permitted in any building.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3-bedroom units must contain at least 1 above-grade bedroom. So I don't think that
Yeah.
we,
It's a little inconsistent.
I thought that was for the. I
That was
thought for
2
the
meetings
fourplexes.
wasn't that last meeting? We were
No, it's in there.
Is
No,
that May?
was a couple meetings ago, when you guys said no, like, I actually wasn't here for that, but I read the minutes.
These are notes I had on that draft decision from last week.
What number was it? 14?
14, 15,
It's hard because we changed the numbers.
No basement units completely in the will be completely in the basement.
right.
And then I think we continue the discussion though.
Did we?
Yeah,
Maybe
and then
we
I
did.
asked you guys to clarify, because it was going around and around.
Yeah.
And you said no basement unit. If you wanna revisit it, it's fine, but
No, I'm just looking at my notes, I'm sorry. Add for confusion.
Okay. Okay, so we're at E.
Yeah, let's go to E. Let's see
So
if
no
we can
bad
finish
board.
the houses. So E is sort of we've seen this plan before. It has the front's the same. Do the little,
Getting rid of the board and batten? Or no?
Yeah.
okay, no board and batten.
This one says with the board and batten. This looks like a little shed that's attached.
What about the rafter tails?
I like the rafter tail
Rafter
detail.
tails.
I was gonna ask Lisa, is that an appropriate detail with 6/1s?
Yeah, I think
Works
so.
for me.
It works
What
for
about
me.
maybe on the front, I don't know.
What?
And then this one has those little.
Just on the porch, possibly?
Well, how are they gonna gutter it with those?
Oh, good point.
That is a good point.
You'd have to add like a fascia, just hang the gutter off.
Which you would then lose
That
the.
that wouldn't
character
look
of it.
right at all, right?
Well, it's unfortunate. It's a nice detail. It's
It
a
is a
very
nice detail.
expensive detail. So
The exposed rafter tails that show up. It's this.
which elevation is it?
Well, you can see it
On all
on
the
the batten
elevations.
board.
I
these
don't
little
think they'll
lines
be
that come
unhappy
down.
about
I
when.
think,
Oh, right.
I think one unit type in the whole development with rafter tails might.
Be odd.
Well, but
You can't go-
in their defense, we had asked them to mix things up. But it doesn't work from the drainage aspect.
Right, you can't.
You
gutter
can't
it.
collect the water.
Well, I think we say it because right? Because you can't gutter it.
Yeah, so I think if the rafter tails may have been a response to us asking them to mix things up. Lisa, what about that weird condition on the rear elevation? I don't know that you can,
You mean those little windows?
no, where the
Oh.
gable ridge comes in, intersects the eave
Right. Well, I don't
and
like
the
that dormer
dormer.
at all. I think that dormer looks ridiculous, but the windows are too small. I mean, the sill has got to be up at. I don't know. It just looks out of scale. They look like the window sills at 4 or 5 feet. It's because the main
Why is
roof
that-
is so high,
Yeah.
but. And one of them's one's in a laundry room, and the plans don't match. The plans are showing one window in each of those spaces, and I think there's two.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It wouldn't even fit in the laundry room. 2 windows. Yeah, that's
I think they would. You don't think they would?
maybe. I'm just saying.
This unit shows a gas fireplace without it
Where is it? Oh, yeah.
in the living room, and how would that vent? How would that come through the roof? Or maybe it doesn't, maybe it just vents out the sidewall?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We should maybe write the no exposed, piping, vent piping. I mean, through the roof.
Right.
It might also be vent-free unit too.
All right, well, do you have any thoughts on that dormer, Lisa? Do you want to,
Well, if nobody else is bothered by it, I'll leave it alone, but.
well, I'm more concerned about how,
They're just so teeny, those windows.
And they should have a minimum of 3 feet on either side of that dormer? From the side, from the wall of the mast below to the wall of the dormer is supposed to be 3 feet?
yeah,
So the
okay.
dormer would get a little smaller.
You mean this part here?
Yeah.
Isn't that sort of a standard HTC?
That
now?
is.
Yeah.
3 feet on the side.
Yeah, so from the edge of the roof to the side wall of the dormer needs to be 3 feet.
Right.
It looks, or, thereabouts.
the
And what about
windows.
that gable running into the dormer and the, don't you think it should be below that?
Well,
It
it
should
could
be below
easily
that,
be
sure.
below it, and it would be much easier to build, so I
A
don't know
lot
why they wouldn't
easier
do
to
that.
build. So just note that, and
Lower ridge, right
The
here.
back and forward table.
Oh, yeah, lower that one.
What, did you say something about the 6/6? 3/3, I'm sorry. The windows?
no. I mean, I think the window type should match. I think they have 6/1s, 9 lights, and 2/1s. That's a little atypical.
And then 2/2.
Well, I
at the
think the
top.
idea was that back room was supposed to look like it was added later.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh,
I don't like that though. There's a house that did that. I just saw the other day, and it looks so discombobulated.
And I think that right elevation again with the sad little door should have a little porch.
Oh, this is the same
It's the
building
same.
type.
It is. This is the same building, just with the little addition on it.
Right. And so one particular member of the HGC would request that all casement windows are, he would not allow a casement window.
I don't have a problem with the casement windows if they're made to look like,
Well,
Double
he
hung?
doesn't like them when they're open because then they look odd, they hang off the building. It's not about the look of the window, it's more about the operation, that they're sort of like doors that are left open. In this building, we didn't really focus it on the other buildings, but I'm just noticing it more on this building that,
doesn't bother me.
I don't think so.
okay. Well, they don't have they don't look like this where there's a piece that would raise up.
They're definitely
But do you
casement.
know that it's a casement because it has this big piece in the middle?
No,
Well, that's where a window schedule would come in handy, but
They all open out.
yeah, they open out, and John McLaughlin hates that.
So just which one? So
Well, nobody else seems to have a concern, I was just bringing it up.
I think it's okay.
because
Maybe
they're
the-
all gonna have central air, so it's not like they need
They're
to
never
air
gonna be
conditioning
open.
units or anything. So. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Everything else stays the same, and what's the height on that one, 25?
25.4, so that one's fine.
So then we get to F.
That's just a drawing error, right? There's some weird stuff happening on the rear elevation, but I think that's an error.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like the porch roof continues
Yeah, that's weird.
up.
Yes.
That's an error, right?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
No.
That's the front.
No, yeah, that's a little over, yeah, no, that's.
That's an error.
Well, what, yeah, there's something funky there.
I mean, because the front is correct, where it's sort of a broken back and it just one roof folds into the other. The other porch is more attached, so there should be a break. But I think what they're showing, hold on, oh, you know what?
No, it's definitely different than the front. The front actually isn't correct, because the front is showing this connecting.
Yeah, but this is the front. This side's the front. Because
This side,
This side,
The left one is the front.
the left
says
side.
front. What do you mean?
The left part of the left elevation is the front of the house, not the back.
Got you.
Because that mass is enclosed. The window to the right is a room.
I see now.
Yeah. So I think it's just a drawing error. Those roofs in the rear elevation don't connect. The porch roof stops, and then you have a corner board, and then the top roof picks up. I think that's just a mistake.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not as bothered by the median rails here, but they don't align. I mean, you have a porch roof that helps mitigate that a little bit, but
Well, you could bring those windows down a little, make them bigger, so the meeting rail drops a little bit, right?
yeah, again, yeah. Or make the porch a little, yeah.
I mean, we should be consistent with that if everyone else has to live with it.
Okay, so the median rail to align with you.
Again, I mean, I personally think the left elevation is a little, it's the door, just the door stuck on, but I don't know what you can do about that other than, because the porch doesn't wrap around, it's the little appendage,
Well,
so.
you could just put a little roof over that door, a little bracketed roof.
A little bracketed roof.
Just have to be narrow so it doesn't run into the rake, but
All right, let's do that.
it'll add some.
It would look weird to put a little porch.
Yeah. So unless you wrapped the entire thing around like that and then covered the two windows.
Yeah, I was thinking it wouldn't go that far, but it'd just be like a little.
Oh, I was thinking that you would
Little
wrap.
bracketed roofs don't look bad, sitting out by themselves.
No, I think they look
No.
nice. I think a bracketed roof would work. Now this trim just looks like a 1x8, completely flat. Nothing's added to it.
Yeah, again, each rake should have the 1x8, the shadow board. And to me, it looks like these are overhanging rakes.
Yep.
So and then it would really need the sub rake. And they're showing it everywhere. not, even the dormers have the overhanging rakes.
So that's a question. Up on the dormers where you have a lower roof that's gonna collect the rainwater, do you need gutters up on dormers?
I would say no. I would say that if the lower, no. What do you think, Jeff?
What's that now?
If you don't, to collect the rainwater, you really only need the gutters on the lowest portion of the roofs. In other words, you wouldn't need it up on the dormers per se, because it's going to come down on that lower roof anyway.
It might help control the amount of water, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, it's better for your building not to have the water sheeting down your.
Right.
Right.
No, you wouldn't need a gutter on that upper roof.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
do we make?
I mean, I think the condition is that all roof water has to be collected
Right.
and discharged to the subsurface. So,
We had just made mention of having gutters on, gutters need to be shown. I guess we're just gonna say gutters need to be shown where they're required to
Right.
collect roof. Okay. That's fine.
Do we I'm digressing for a second, but just looking at the lower level plans. So if there's no bedrooms down there, are we still allowing full baths?
well, it does bring up the question, are you allowing full baths, and not you, is one, or we, plus all the full-size window wells, because we all know what will happen.
Right, I mean, I thought, what did we do in Sachem's and in Rugged Scott with that? I thought it was.
In Sachem's, we allowed no full-size windows.
And
so
no,
you
and no
can't-
bathrooms, I thought.
And no bathrooms. We've since
Allowed one.
allowed one. But there's no legal egress from that down there.
In these.
No, in
In
Sachem's.
Sachem's.
Right.
That's what these window wells are all about, is egress.
Unless you put the bedroom where the playroom is. And you had a door.
Yeah, but we're saying there are no bedrooms allowed, but
Right,
we're making it so
but
that it's
somebody
very
could-
easy to make a bedroom.
Somebody could make a bedroom at the bottom of those stairs.
Well, again,
Especially 'cause there's a full
we
bathroom down there.
yeah, it's
I mean, we're pretty much setting it up to be a bedroom with things.
well, we're not setting it up to be a legal bedroom.
No.
If you want to put an illegal bedroom in, you know, we can't do much about that. So I don't think it's unreasonable to have a bathroom in a play space downstairs.
Or it could be a gym where you might wanna have a place to
Right.
shower.
Okay, I'm just bringing
I
it
have a
up.
full bathroom in my basement. No bedroom.
Yeah.
So are we making we're making in addition to not having any basement bedrooms, we're making the condition that the windows in the basements cannot be full-size windows.
Well, that's the question. I mean, we have to speak about the window wells, which aren't shown on the plans, number one, on the HDC plans. And although you say you only put them in.
You dot them in.
You dot them in, but they're still on the plan.
They are on the plan, so you can see the size of the window.
Well, so if they're not there, then they're,
Well, but they're showing them on the their.
They show 'em on the floor plan,
I
so
think we
it's-
need to make a condition, not an HGC condition,
just a condition in
just a
general.
condition
that
in
the-
general.
the
If there's no bedrooms down there, you don't need
you don't-
full-size
Right,
windows.
so they're not full-size windows.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could go so far as to say the basement windows cannot meet egress code. And it restricts their size. They have to be smaller.
Yeah, just say that, because I was gonna say, I could certainly see that you might wanna have larger than the little 1-foot high basement window.
Yeah, me too.
But,
So if you, because there's another means of egress from the basement, that's why you don't have to have an egress window, or is it only?
no, so with a bedroom, you have to be able to egress out your,
Without going out the door.
yeah. Without going out your.
If the door is
But
on
I'm
the
saying-
other side
I'm
of
saying
your
if there's-
bedroom.
Yeah, I'm
if the-
saying if it's not a bedroom, it's just a playroom, like when we, the house, again, the house I had in Wellesley, when we made the basement into a playroom, we had to put in a legal egress
Yeah,
window,
I'm surprised.
even though it wasn't a bedroom.
Well, was there not a door out? What we're saying is
There-
that the
oh, right.
playroom would be connected to the
To the
door,
door.
which
Right.
is egress.
So there has to be one means of egress. So so if there is a single family that does not, well, there wouldn't be, they all have stairways down to the basement,
Yeah.
or a Bilco.
You can use a window as the egress to the basement, plus your interior stair.
Yeah, but there needs to be one.
Yes.
So,
Not your interior stair, in addition
Not-
to the
yeah,
interior
So,
stair.
so it has to be a window or a door.
For
to the
for a
outside.
playroom, a gym, an office, whatever.
habitable space, if
Yeah.
you will, yeah.
If
But
it's a
if
bedroom, you
it-
have to have a window.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or a door. The door can be in the window.
But it has to be
bedroom
in the bedroom.
Yeah, it
Yes.
has to be in the bedroom. The idea being if the fire is on the other side
You
of
can
your
get out.
door, you can get out.
Let's wrap up the architecture. And then-
So no egress size windows in the basement.
I was trying to take my job.
F.
F. F, which is very similar to something else we already saw. No, maybe not. Edge. All we talked about was the little porch roof,
And the meeting rails.
the meeting rails on that dormer.
And correcting the roof. That's it. And the sub-rake and all that other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep,
And then G is like the other one that has
Yeah,
the pregnant thing
that-
exactly.
that removes. G is like E? right? Let's see. Or C, maybe.
I didn't draw that.
G is like D.
D, okay. So G will have the same notes as D.
Again, I mean, they're showing a pergola on the back.
Pergola and
That's
a
nice.
deck off of the rear, of the left side.
It's interesting, there's no way to get to that from inside.
The pergola.
To
No.
that deck.
Yeah.
No, there isn't.
Just
You'd have to
windows there.
climb through a window.
It's very odd.
That was just because we wanted something to break up that elevation, I guess. What did we have on
I don't
D?
know if we,
It is clouded, so that must have been that RBS.
Yeah. But it's funny, we must not have said anything on D because we allowed them to.
it's interesting, it's off a bedroom and a kitchen, right, and there's no door.
Where's D?
Yeah, there's no.
So this would have the height issue. 2711.
Well, we can keep the pergola on G and, just as a way to break up the,
Well, do we count
Pattern.
it's not on D?
no, it'll be different.
Okay.
Well, because D has a porch on the other side.
No, they're identical, they just,
No.
Identical buildings.
D has, on the right elevation, has a porch. And then on the left elevation, it's
Oh.
blank.
You're right. Yeah, it does.
Got you.
Right, yep.
okay. So the pergola stays.
Yeah, that's fine. And if you want to get to it,
Go
tough
from
luck.
outside.
No, you go outside and sit there and read a book. It's beautiful. Beautiful
It's too
thing.
bad they couldn't make one of those windows in the bedroom
It's very
a
shallow
door,
too.
because then you could just go right out from that bedroom.
Well, you can, if they want to come back and change one of
You
those.
see how shallow it is? I mean, I know it's not our
But the
thing, but
pergola,
yeah, it's like 4 feet. I mean, just seems. Is that because the lot sizes are so small that they?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a setback issue.
Probably seems worth doing it, but that's up to them.
It doesn't show that elevation, but you're absolutely right. Those are really shallow porches.
Yeah, if you look at the plan.
That shows it on the, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Those-
they might
are
be
they 4
3
feet?
feet. Not. Yeah, I
They
think
don't
they're
look
3
like-
feet into the column, maybe.
Yeah, the front porch is the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost uncomfortably small.
This front, yeah.
Well,
I
you
think we
couldn't
should.
put, you mean you couldn't even put so much as a rocking chair up there?
Should we make a note that these have to be deeper? They have to be 6 feet? That's even shallow, but at least you get a rocking chair out there.
Well, I don't think a rocking chair is I guess it's an HDC concern, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks stupid if they look like little pimples.
I agree that it doesn't look appropriate, is what you're trying to say, I think.
Yes.
And
What's the magic number?
I would say, I mean, I've certainly done five. I think 5 is a minimum.
Is that to the outside of the post? Or the
Yeah.
inside of the post?
To the outside, I would think, but you want more, so to the inside?
I think it should be 6 feet.
6 feet, done.
So is that typical on all the other ones where we may have missed that?
Well, I think if we just say all porches have to be 6.
A minimum of, porches and pergolas have to be a minimum of 6 feet.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Yeah,
think they're
it's
deeper on other buildings.
some are deeper, but F is not deeper. F
C is
is
hard to tell. C might be.
F is more like 4 feet.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because there aren't any measurements, so
Yeah.
we're just guessing.
I'm interested. Well, never mind. It doesn't matter. No, yeah, E is hard to tell, but just a minimum of 6 feet. Not including the little, just to be clear, not including necessarily the little side bracketed ones or
Right.
that are just over in it.
Yeah, that would just be considered a bracketed roof, not a porch.
Although we did put a little porch on a couple of them.
Oh, you mean you're talking about the porch you added here?
Yeah. I think it would be more like, well, first of all, we can annotate each plan.
Right.
But that one, like.
And I think the side little porches could be 4 feet, basically protecting you when you go in the door.
Right, and that's this one.
The porches on the side little doors?
Yeah.
4x4 is sort of a normal size for those.
What do we,
For the porch deck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 4 is fine.
Okay. Then we have to do the landscaping or?
Yeah, technically, I mean, so looking at the first one, cottage parentheses 1, Belgian block apron, looks good to me. The irregular bluestone pavers, I'm talking only about the hardscape, right? From the HTC standpoint. B stone or shell parking. Yeah, they're showing an outdoor shower on this, which I don't have a problem with it. Technically, I mean, they should be on the elevations, shouldn't they, Lisa?
Yeah.
And they show a 6x8 shed.
but we're changing to 6 by 10, right?
8 by 10.
I mean 8 by 10.
Well, I mean, it does, let's read it, yeah, well, let's just talk about it. It definitely takes up a little more yard space. So maybe we just, I don't know. I don't know how you do it without the affordables getting. Do we feel strongly about that?
The shed size?
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I
I
don't.
guess I don't really.
I think we could leave it up to, I think if nothing, I mean, I guess what we could do to be equitable, the percentage of 80, it would have to be the
Prorated.
same. The
Yeah.
pro rata share would have to be the same.
Yeah, that's what you would say.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
That's what I was trying to say. That was just a nicer way, I mean, a cleaner way to say it.
Okay, and we already talked
All right,
about.
so back to, I'm gonna change that on that
So now you do not have to have an 80 square foot shed, it's gonna be equitable distribution among four.
Yeah, up to the developer, 6 by 8, 8 by 10. Bluestone patio, we good with that?
note. Hot tub's gone.
The hot tub's gone.
What about the fire pit? Fire pit table?
My feeling is it's, I don't know, hard to sort of say.
I don't care about a fire pit table as long as it's the same thing as the sheds. It's pro rata distributed to whoever. You know?
Okay,
Well, I mean, because it's the same kind of thing. It's an extra,
it's definitely an amenity.
it's an outside thing that will distinguish between the two.
You could make the, it all depends, frankly. If they're just showing it, sort of like the table.
Right.
They're not giving everybody a table,
Well, except, yeah.
or a car, for that matter.
I know, except that it's delineated on the plan as a labeled, well, I guess they're not giving everyone a barbecue either, but it says barbecue on there.
Right. So I'm gonna think that is a,
Added, just,
let's just
Up
put
to
it
the
this,
person to purchase.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, you could go so far, Susan, to say no built-in fire pit, where you have this whole stone thing, but, if I want
No,
to put in a
it's there.
fire
They
pit
want
later
it.
on,
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I do too. I just see it the same thing as the hot tub, like if it's something that they're building and providing with the thing, then it should be,
Let's put it this way, the developer cannot provide
amenities.
built-in fire pits.
Or amenities to
Why? Because it's
to
the same
market
as a hot
rate
tub.
units unless they give the pro rata to the affordables.
Yeah,
Same idea as the,
if you wanna do it for the,
I don't think that works, because if,
what if you don't want a fire pit? I would want one.
well, that's my point. So but if you do want one after you buy your house, whether you're affordable or not, you buy it.
right.
I'm just saying,
So they don't have
Rather
to come
than-
back to us to add a fire pit later.
no.
No, cause it's like an aftermarket.
Unless it's a full landscape,
Then they'd have to go to HTC anyway, cause it'd be a hardscape situation.
exactly. But if it's just you go to Amazon and buy a fire pit, no.
Okay.
So we're just gonna say no fire pits.
No built-in
or
fire pits.
No built-in fire pits.
Okay? So let's go to 2.
The next one is the stripped down version.
Well, the landscape details sort of are across the board.
Yeah, I'm just saying, is there anything on 2 that's different? Doesn't
Well,
look
they
like it
just
to
don't
me.
have anything. They don't have a terrace. They just have a deck.
Well, I have a deck instead of a patio. I mean, this obvious, I'm not obviously, but I'm guessing it's,
We don't,
Smaller house.
they don't need to show on this kind of plan or anywhere the AC units or anything like that.
Well, they show an eight.
they show a utility area.
Oh yeah, on this one they did.
It's outside the setback.
They didn't, they didn't on, A, or whatever, cottage 1.
Right. We're just gonna make a note that none of the utilities can be, or none of the AC
Can be on
units
the
can be in the setback.
Right.
Or in the front.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, the outdoor shower.
Did you look at the plan list? that
A
they
little
have in
bit,
here?
yeah. I mean, that's for individual lots. I mean,
But even that we wanna have look reasonably natural, right?
yeah, I mean, I think we use that similar list.
Can't we just, what we were saying before, attach the list and say like, this is what's,
Well, I was just curious of what they're showing is on the list. Boxwood probably isn't.
No,
No.
it's all right. I think, is there love grass in there?
Yeah, but
There's maiden grass. I don't,
Rivet,
again, you know my position on native.
Yeah.
plants like?
I think native has to, is more for the buffer zone or whatever, right? Like, I mean, if you
Well,
wanna,
I think at one point we talked about though not wanting this to get the character of,
not shop.
or Woodbury Lane, where you have to
Yeah.
rows and rows of privet hedge,
Yeah, I agree.
because it is.
Well,
more
that's
rural
what
than-
it is, though. It is
Yeah.
a little urban setting, and
Right, well, they're showing privet,
The Nantucket cookie cutter you're talking about? Lance?
I am, and
bluestone, privet hedge, fire pit,
Hydrangeas.
spot.
well,
That's what
a
this,
lot of that has to do with. Well, who cares what it has to do with it? It is what it is. But that's supposedly why we like it here, and
right, I
Is
don't
why.
think you
things
can.
look the same. You
I
don't.
hate that about it. To be
I
honest.
don't think, you know, again, this is, I don't think any other development, or, any of the planning board or HTC, I don't think can tell an, house what to do.
No,
Landscape wise, Concom can, but, you know.
Yeah, but this is not in the Concom jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to plant what you want to
Yeah, I mean, I
plant.
think all these plants they're listing are pretty standard that are,
They're definitely,
all over
in
the
some of them are
place.
invasive. I'm sure
Oh,
privet
really?
is considered invasive.
Didn't you say last week
Kind of, it's just
that
a
you
weed.
wanted it to be in accordance with the flyer that?
That was,
That was more the buffer zone.
yeah, the
Okay, so-
overall.
Oh, we need to specify that.
I think they can.
I mean, I would prefer everything.
I agree. I mean, again,
Well, I guess if the buffer is done with more native material, and it's just the internal that is more manicured looking.
yeah.
that's
I don't really think you can
Cypress.
stop that.
fine. Yeah.
yeah, the important thing is that we need to stipulate, I think, is that the affordable lots
Gotcha.
are landscaped to the same level, if you will, as they have to be indistinguishable when you drive down. Now, I must say, I've probably only been in Rugged Scott a couple times, but I didn't notice glaring,
No, I think Rugged Scout looks good, landscape wise.
Okay.
I mean, some of the, yeah, so that was that. All right, it's 6:45. We don't have our trusty attorney with us. What do you guys want to do? Call it a night?
What else is left for us to do for the, when's our next meeting, Friday?
Friday, 2 p.m.
And we have hopefully the revised comp permit to go over?
And I should just
And-
mark up these HGC.
I think we would have a draft by then, hopefully.
And then we sign
Well, I
it the
think we're
next, we
gonna attach
sign,
the
if we're signing it the next week, the 7th?
No, I think
if
the
it's-
idea would be that we would discuss it on Friday.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what
And
I'm
that
trying to
George would
do.
make any edits for the following, we'll see. If we think we're there,
Right.
I think we should all give continued thought to the mixture, if you will. Make sure we're comfortable with it, the units and whatnot. 'Cause
The
there was-
size of the buildings, you mean?
Well, and there was some discussion today about the fourplexes and,
Don't we have to come up with we have to come up with sort of a magic number, don't we?
I think that was the
I
suggestion.
think George would like us to come up with
Yeah.
some, yeah.
Which we were close, I think.
I think we're close too. I mean, if you look at, if we decide not to allow the fourplexes, the duplex lots are not that much bigger than the single-family lots.
They're
So,
about one,
Well,
one,
50.
1/5 bigger.
right.
Remember, you're asking for more parking than they were providing them.
Right. So how
So
do you
we're
come up with a
meeting
number? I
again
don't understand how we come up with
on
a number. It all depends on how it's laid out.
Well, we could
have-
literally just come up with a number.
Yeah, just come
Just
up
say
with
no
something out
more
of-
than
out of
X.
Our heads.
You could say 10, you
10
get 10,
units,
10
25
units,
units,
whatever.
right.
That certainly has been done in the past elsewhere, and we can do it.
What was the size of Sagem's Path acreage-wise, and how many units do they
9
have?
point.
And they have
9.2.
40 units.
Okay, and we're at 13,
How many units in Station 5?
40,
40.
right?
so maybe if you did like a percentage.
Yeah, we have a chart somewhere that shows.
Yeah, we have those
acre.
numbers
Yeah.
that shows the number of units per acre and the number of bedrooms per acre.
No, you can have it, it's actually the towns. I think I got it last time.
But yes, Jeff, I think we want to hone in on that next Friday and be done with it.
Next Friday.
This Friday, I meant.
Friday.
Unless nobody thinks we need to meet, which,
Well, we have to
No,
go
we
through
definitely
the
need to meet.
you know,
We have to go through the.
I wanted-
comprehensive permit, don't we?
yeah, I'm kidding. I had something else. I
So
was
our
gonna do.
tentative schedule is, so we're definitely booked for Friday, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
2 p.m.
And then we're definitely booked for
The following
7.
Friday.
the following Friday.
Is it?
All right, let me ask, what is everybody's gut on the following Friday? Does anybody not love meeting on Friday
You
afternoon?
know, I'd rather not, I'm not planning on being here the following Friday. I didn't think we were gonna.
I thought we were gonna be here
Thought we
because
were
that's the
doing the
first meeting that Karen can be back for.
And we have to,
We have
We
to
have to-
file it on Monday the 10th.
yeah, Monday, that's why we're.
No, I would have
I thought we were-
suggested
I-
Thursday.
Oh, that
Oh.
might be
Yeah.
tough for me.
Wait, what did you say?
Friday?
Thursday might not work for me.
Okay.
I'm not sure, I mean.
There's not room availability, so you guys can't change it.
Yeah, the 7th we said 2 p.m. I'm away. I'm probably away. I'm probably
It's
away
gonna
the
screw
rest
me
the
off
rest
again.
of that week. I'm making my whole plan around the Friday
Okay,
meeting.
never mind. Sorry, Jeff. I tried.
I mean,
I'm with ya.
I don't think any of us loves meeting on a Friday in June on 2 to 7. You know, I mean, it's
I don't think. Yeah, I would hope
it's not great.
that it's not 2 to 7. But if it is, it is. I'm hopeful that.
That's when we're supposed to sign.
So there's no other availability earlier in the week.
I just
Tuesday, June 4th.
But Karen won't be back,
Yeah,
right?
Karen
She
won't
came
be
back-
here.
I
And
thought
that's
the
my
crux
birthday,
was
and I
that
don't really want to be here on the.
That was the
I
whole
forget
reason to do
exactly.
it.
on the 7th was because
I
Karen
think it
was.
was
It's the
the
only day Karen's back.
I will get in touch with Kiram
He's
by
back on
the.
the 6th. He comes back to the island on the 6th, is my recollection.
Yeah, and what I
You
have.
can never tell.
What I have on the schedule from Eleanor, and God knows what's available now, since this was May 7th, was the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This room is available 9 a.m. to 6, 5, and 2. Right, like on Tuesdays it's 9 to 6.
All of that has changed.
Right,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm saying.
If
This
you
was
guys
a
don't wanna
month
do this
ago.
Friday, I'm happy to, we can't.
No, we have. I think we have to
No,
do
we
this
can't.
Friday.
Friday's a sort of a done deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Anyway, well, let's do Friday, and if we feel
Even if
totally
Karen
bogged
can
down,
do it, Then,
yeah, I mean, if Karen can.
well,
do that.
you know, yeah.
but I would just have to clear something, I just have to check on something to make sure, because I thought I was having somebody come for a meeting on Thursday, she didn't give a time yet, so
Yeah, that's fine.
it would just be hard for me to figure it out.
I mean, it may be that, I mean, I guess in a perfect world, if we do a decent session on this Friday, the following Friday, if that's the only other meeting we have, would be just to cross the last few Ts and dot the Is versus going, because, in other words, it may be shorter.
Well, does Jeff, do you have plans to travel?
I was planning on traveling.
Would you be
Well,
back
so-
Monday to sign? If we went through the
I don't
conditions?
even know if I'm signing, who's
Well, that's what I was
signing?
gonna
Yeah, we
say.
don't know. We
like,
haven't
if-
even-
Well, I think the bad, you know, if we all drop out at the end, our options become limited. I mean, yes, if Kiram's back, I mean, I think it's better, and I think George would back me up on this, if we all are here at the end.
You can't just have 6 people sign it?
I have no idea. I'm guessing, no, you have 5 people, because we're a 5-person board.
Yeah, but, so then if we have, so that's what I was gonna say, so if we're just crossing our Ts and dotting our Is and signing it, if Jeff can't be here,
Well,
but
that-
Hiram is.
Well,
That
then
may
let's
be
do
the
what
case.
this
That's what
Friday.
I'm
Yeah.
saying. I will try to get in touch with Kiram, because sometimes he's a little vague about his plans, just to make sure that that is the date. And for now, we'll meet Friday, 2 o'clock, which gives us plenty of time if we want to go marathon and get it over with.
Well, you mean not past 7 though?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe till 6?
Well, I
But
mean,
let's just
I
wait
have
and
a
see.
Yeah.
I mean, just doing this, which was pretty not, I mean, it wasn't a lot of heavy lifting, it was just going through it and took us till,
So-
6:45.
I think process-wise, we'd have to get
But we
the
started at
decision in
4.
by the close of business for the clerk, right?
On
The
Monday.
I thought it was at 10.
Basically, on Friday, Friday the
That
7th, we
means
need
we
to
don't
be
have to-
finished.
I don't wanna have to come getting signatures on my, it's really
No.
difficult.
No, I mean,
No,
So Friday, essentially, we're signing it.
on the 7th, yeah, that was
So
the
that should be
plan.
very short, because it's typed, and all we have to do is put a signature on it.
Well,
we gotta approve
yeah,
it.
gotta make sure that's right.
arguably, we're going to read it.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna make changes.
If
so-
there may be some small edits
Right.
that would need to be made, in which case we would have to sign on Monday.
That's
Or Eleanor would go to her office and make the changes and print it, and we would either walk over there, or she would walk back and we'd sign
I
it.
could make the changes here and go, then I would have.
Anyway, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's
I
meet
was
on
thinking
Friday.
that We're probably gonna have to
Alright, so you're shutting this down?
sign.
Okay, I move to adjourn.
Yeah, let's, I'll second that motion.
There aren't gonna be any.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Yeah, it's
Aye.
Very